time. The best crowd in esports. Make some noise. They're running on me. One minute as we get ready for game number 1.
Look at the bodies. It's a graveyard down here.
Can he get the double? Yes, he does. Burrows going for the triple kill to kick off the ALGS playoffs in London.
He's going to be hitting some big
Oh
shots.
my goodness, the damage.
The Bravers are finally landing.
Guard is going to win this game.
Ascend will pick up the win.
Oh, he was like, he punches him.
Are you kidding?
He's on main.
It should work out. Peekaboo. Let's go with the Kramer. He's going to go in and finish off the damage as well.
Setting a world record.
23 kills. $1 million is on the line today. It is a shootout
I'm gonna move forward.
to become the champions here in London.
Hurry! You want the money?
You get the damage here. It comes. TSM up in the skies. House goes down from the heavens. London belongs to TSM.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Apex Legends Global Series Challenger Circuit Finals for the EMEA region. I'm Irique of Awesome, here with Mellowcrit. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited to be covering EMEA for the first time. I'm excited to get to cast with you for the first time, and I'm looking forward to the games that we're about to witness. So we're starting to get a little deeper into the Challenger circuit. A lot of teams here are going to be fresh faces, as well as some returning faces that are already establishing their dominance.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good day. Again, we have the EMEA region for you guys. 20 teams vying for a spot. There's going to be a lot going on, and we're very, very excited to be here today.
Yeah, so we actually can probably roll into kind of where we're sitting in year 4 thus far. You can see there that red diamond just past that halfway mark. Challenger Circuit number 2. This is the second finals lobby that is going to close things out and put us at the halfway point. All of these teams are fighting for a spot in that last chance qualifier, that final opportunity to make it to that ALGS championship. So this is what we're here to witness, these teams duking it out, continuing to climb on towards as many points as they can grab, and maybe even securing a spot with a win today.
Absolutely. And of course, we have 20 teams in a 6-game series. As always, teams earn points through eliminations and placement. First place, only first place, qualifies for the last chance qualifier for the right to go to champs. And the remaining teams, they're going to accumulate more CC points for the future.
Yeah, and those CC points are incredibly important, because any teams that don't win out a Challenger Circuit final here are going to have to be at the top of the overall championship circuit points leaderboard, or Challenger Circuit leaderboard rather. So that's exactly what we're playing here today. Even without a win, all of these squads are going to be vying for position, vying for every single kill point that we can get. So moving on to our classic point system. This is a same old song and dance that we've seen in competitive Apex for a long while now. First place getting you those juicy 12 points, going down to 9 for second, third gets 7, and so on and so forth, as well as, of course, 1 point for every single elimination that teams pick up.
And as you can see, 16 to 20th, they get 0 points. You do not want to be in that position, having a 0-point game this late into ALGS is critical to not have those 0-point games.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Let's go ahead and roll into what maps we're going to be hitting today, or rather what order, because I think most people are pretty used to just which maps we tend to compete on. World's Edge starting us off for our first 3 games, after which we will roll on to our Storm Point set of maps, 3 and 3 here, at the end of which the number 1 placing team in the overall will be crowned the victor.
Absolutely, and we're gonna be looking here, and here's some of our teams. All 20 teams here vying for that one spot. Of course, that's what they're all here for. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna be looking at Team One Gollum, who during the last Challenger Circuit Finals did really well. So who would you be looking at? Who are some of the teams that you're looking forward to watching today?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Golem is certainly, I think, right now the team to beat. Challenger Circuit 1 winners, and they won their semifinals lobby coming into today. But one team that I'm going to have my eyes on is actually going to be SPS. And that is a squad that has already done well in that first Challenger Circuit, but they were just outside the podium, finishing in fourth place. So I'm looking forward to see if they can maybe sneak into a podium spot or maybe even take the whole thing. Certainly one of the teams that is capable, and it's another one of those teams that is already flying up the overall champion or challenger circuit leaderboard because this is their second final here. They share that accolade with Golem, of course, with CC Police, with DRG, and a number of other squads. So yeah, there are some faces here that people may recognize from the previous Challenger Circuit finals, back again to pick up even more points and maybe a win.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, Gollum is probably the team to beat in this lobby. CC Police actually did some good things in the versus arena. Just a little, just a little favor here, but bananas in pajamas. Just uh, the name itself with gonna DJ Aqua and Takeo. You gotta love a name like that. Also, Fat Kid Community. Um,
Yeah.
So there's some interesting names here. You gotta love it. I'm curious to see what the logos for Fat Kid Community,
Yes.
for example, would be.
Yeah, absolutely. Call me Dada in 12. We'll see if that's exactly where they're going to be calling from the lobby if they start doing pretty dang well. But yeah, lots of great teams here, lots of new faces, which again, for me, is one of the most exciting parts of these Challenger circuits. Even though we didn't see them maybe in Challenger Circuit 1 finals, they fought all the way here. And what a fight it is! So many rounds, such a colossal effort just to make it here. So the fact that they're in this lobby now, they've already proven a lot, but they have quite a bit more to prove. And as we've already just hit over the head multiple times, every single point is going to count, not just for this challenger circuit, but for every challenger circuit remaining for Split 2.
No, absolutely. I don't think if you're new here to Challenger Circuit, hundreds, if not thousands of people, anybody can compete as long as you're over level 50. You can get in there. So for them to have made it this far in that finals, you have to give yourself themselves a pat on the back, and hopefully their day doesn't end, their journey doesn't end here, but this is where it all starts. I mean, of course, the TSMs, the Falcons, of course, they're household names, but this is where you make your name. This is where you start. You know what I mean? This is where you begin your legacy, and hopefully you can make it to land, perform well, and but again, it all starts here.
Yeah, and we're fighting for those LCQ spots, right? We keep talking about points, but those points are going to get these teams LCQ spots. And really anything can happen if you're one of the teams that does take down that LCQ. So any startup team here, it could be Golem who's shown dominance, but it could be any of these squads like Bananas and Pajamas. Maybe they have a sun run here over the next three challenger circuits. They have a great performance in LCQ if they make it, and suddenly they could see themselves at this next LAN. And easily I think the not the next LAN but the biggest LAN, the biggest stage that we have for year 4 in that championship. So yeah, every team here has a lot to fight for, and the opportunity is plentiful. If they can have a really solid day here, that could be what catapults them into a fantastic year 4 performance.
And as you can see, it looks like we're getting to the character selection screen. One thing you're going to notice about Challenger Circuit is you are going to see some teams try some stuff. Looking at Gotham, they were very successful with the Newcastle, for example. You're going to see a lot of Bloodhounds. Probably not after tomorrow, but you're going to see people in Challenger Circuit try a couple of different things.
Yeah, getting creative with it. Not everything that works in Pro League will work the same here. Not only because of the difference in maybe execution and experience, but also the game plans are very distinct. You know, we see Pro Play plays a very sort of consistent, specific style. There's tons of coaching staff, tons of very incredibly experienced players that make the game play out a certain way. Definitely see some, I think, more variability here in these challenger circuit finals in general, but I think the caliber of play definitely high, definitely incredibly entertaining. And that's exactly what we will be hoping for in this first match here as we drop into our first game on World's Edge.
And we've got a contest already with Kaizen going up against somebody, and the Bangalore goes down immediately. So does the Bloodhound. Kaizen already in deep trouble, and this is what we were talking about, not having a 0-point game. They're going to try to reestablish, reinforce these doors, and hopefully be able to get a res. They do have one knock, two knocks actually, so we're going to see how this is going to play out as Kaizen is in deep trouble already as he's trying to go for the finish.
Trying to clean this kill up just to guarantee at least 1 point, so they will not be leaving with 0 points at the very least. That door is being kicked down. That reinforcement from the Cattle is not going to last. Nice damage here, and a 106 headshot is going to push them even further away. Now an opportunity for the Mog to get this res, but the timing is so tight. Kardashians on the other side putting on the pressure. Health advantage and player advantage still remains, and it looks like they're about to re-peak this. Peaking as a squad, trying to keep it low and slow. They have the advantage, but it's just about cleaning it up. But the turnaround could be coming through. Kim goes down.
And Kylie, is up to Kylie. He's going to reset here and try to get a full heal off. Reset. Catalyst is reset and still controlling that battle. And she's going to be able to not only res here, this is going to be huge. As the grenade comes through here, Catalyst is going to try to get that with the dirty habit. And he is able. He is able to kill all 3 people by himself, and he's not a kill leader, and they should be able to get a refuel set as we go over to No Name.
Kardashians getting the tables turned on him early. It looked like they were going to be the ones to clean that up, but no such luck as we check into another one of our contests on the map. This time over at No Name, we've got Septic seeming to be putting on the pressure. We can see the Bloodhound scans there to try and get a little bit more information to see how they want to engage on this fight. Neither team really wants to be stuck here as we see where that zone might be pulling next. So there's a good shot that this fight will break out fully. Septic vying for a little bit more position here, opening things up a little bit to get some better angles. Still don't quite know who is on the other side and what their med situation and shield situation looks like, but for the time being, it looks like Septic doesn't want to spend too much longer on this one. They're going to start running back out to the northeast.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like they're going to just back out, get a reset. There's not a lot of resources in No Name. This is probably the right move. His team listen. They're poking with triple takes, and I believe I heard a 30-30 as this Bang is struggling just a little bit to hit their shots, but they're going to heal up and probably live to see another day. One of the important things here is to make sure that you do not fight very long, because as we know, the main ingredient of any Apex Legends sandwich is a third party. So they're going to rotate out as we go over to survey camp. It looks like we have 3 different teams vying for position all on blues here.
And this probably indicates to everyone that this is a likely spot that we will be seeing an endgame SPS. That was going to be my team to watch for this series. And they're rocking a pretty interesting composition. Briefly got a chance to take a peek, but I believe what I saw there was a Wraith paired with a Caustic, which I do find pretty fascinating, as well as the Crypto Caustic Wraith. Honestly, one of my favorite compositions back in the Spark days. I got to run that with a couple of friends in some competitive lobbies, and it honestly has a lot of versatility. Finding a lot of those great EMPs combined with something like a Caustic Ultimate can be an extremely powerful engage. And of course, you have the flexibility of the rotation with the Wraith, and you have the ability to hold down buildings with the Caustic. So it allows you to play very zone heavy, like we are seeing here from SPS in the topmost chunk of the screen, where actually a number of squads, probably close to half the lobby, have already made their way here as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Mello. You know, this is a big difference between ranked and comp. For example, as we see another fight break out, I'll get back to that point in just a second. As it looks like a team is going to struggle here, as Fushi Golem, they are getting their first taste of the action with the squad wipe. But what I was going to say is they rotate out here. One of the important things in any comp is to hurry up and loot and figure out where zone is. That's why you see so many caustics. Golem not actually running a control legend, so what they're going to be doing is probably using Bloodhound to just figure out where everyone else is going and figure out the ring that way. But as you mentioned, yeah, Wraith giving a lot of versatility. Shout out to Designful, for example, who is running a Wraith at the highest level. Crypto as well. We're going to see probably a lot more of those with the Bloodhound nerf coming as we take a look at Climatizer. And we're going to see where this next ring pulls and see where everybody else is headed. This is probably where everything is going to slow down just a little bit, as we've got 18 squads, 52 people left. So a couple of teams appear to be short if my math is somewhat decent there. So we're going to see how Septic is going to rotate out here. So it looks like they're going to take the long way.
And they're going to be approaching this from the northeastern side. So maybe playing forward that pinch between the two zones, playing a little bit slower, maybe prowling on some teams that are going to start to take fights near their edge and find some third parties to sneak their way in. Because as we saw, the zone is already heavily contested. Not a lot of room left for them to play. SCS towards the middle of the map here in an engage of their own, and they've already found the first knock. Great front foot to start things off. Actually, you're going to put the wall down right through the rightmost part of this building to cut this thing all the way up. They're going to clean up this kill. 3v2 scenario for SCS.
SK is in trouble here. The Mastiff is singing. He goes down and it's all up to Shin. And the Catalyst here is he's trying to figure out a way to get in. 202, trying to figure out a way in. But with that cat there controlling the building so well here, bounces that bank smoke right off the Bloodhound's back there, takes a nade to the face as we are trying to figure this out. The Havoc does not sing. They have stage fright. It is 202. We got a tremendous fight right here as we got another cat wall, as you mentioned, to cut the building halfway off. There goes the Havoc. They are pushing aggressively, and it looks like they are going to be able to eliminate SCS there.
Yeah, excellent third-party timing here from 202. Maybe a little bit overzealous with the peak there, losing one, but it didn't quite matter. They were so damaged there, the remaining teams, that all it took was a couple of solid shots. A nice burst from the Havoc here to clean it up. Triple purples. They got 2 kills at least to their name, perhaps 3. I'm not sure if there was a thirst before this team arrived. But this is great for 202 because now they have a lot of control over the southern edge of the map. They even have a little bit of Evo to pick up. They've got the loot from the 2 teams that they just took out. So if they control this edge, they will be in pretty good standing to walk into this zone late. But of course, we know Golem still out in the outskirts of these zones might be a team that they have to contend with. And as we've already noted, easily the team to beat here, one of the scarier ones to be fighting in the early game.
And we've got DRG walking up with the bang ult, using that to create space and push up. We've got Record Original shooting through the smoke. Huge sprays with the Havoc and the Hemlock there. And we're going to see how this is going to play out. We're down to 15 squads, 45 people. Gets that thirst right there. I believe that's what he just did. And this Bangalore is cooking at the moment as they're going to retreat and get a bit of a reset here. This is not probably the best place you want to be, just kind of in the middle, out in the open at Epicenter with no control legends. They're going to have to use the Pathfinder probably for a quick rotate. I don't know how well that's going to work with them being with zone to their backs.
Unfortunately, no abilities available, at least not the ultimate ability here from the Pathfinder. So it is going to come down to playing the little bit of cover that they are afforded, as well as utilizing those smokes from the Bangalore. Checking back in, back over towards the northeast. We saw that squad. We thought they would rotate a little bit late, catch a third party, catch a late rotate, but the late rotate coming in from Golem is going to be what they have to fight up against. They did manage to lose one against this squad, but that is going to be a perfect res shield opportunity Still not going to be enough. They're going to lose one going into zone to fight this one out. Could we see the number 1 seeded team fall here? Yes, we do. Golem is taken out, and it's by none other than Call Me Dada.
And they're going to have to call them Dada for at least until game 2. I'm sure they're going to want to get their get-backs at one time. That is the downfall of playing edge like that, rotating that late. We thought we would see the Newcastle res, but unfortunately Dada was able to just pressure and get those kills. As we switch back to 202, who is in a decent spot. Again, you know, this is a building that you can't control with the cat. As the Bangalore ult comes down, they're just going to chill, but they are going to have to move here in a moment. This is, you know, no part of this building is really in zone, and they are not in the best spot as they are getting pressured. Here, you see that fuse, so you know the knuckle clusters are coming, and here they come as we get an aerial view.
Yeah, we're going to see the squad put on the pressure. 202 is holding for now. Nice response here. And it's going to be very difficult because even though you can bunker down with the Catalyst, I think one of the worst characters you don't want to see in front of you in general is going to be that fuse that is going to be taking down your doors, is going to be revealing your position with that mother load as well. 202, though, holding off impressively for right now. It seems like they've staved them off for the time being, down to 12 as CC Police the next to fall.
And they are going to, it looks like they're gonna push this. The Bangalore might have swung a little wide. Thought wisely, made a bad choice. He's gonna get right back in the house. 202, both teams looks like they were able to full reset here as this Catalyst is just doing the Lord's work here, just holding this building down so excellently. And we're going to see if they are able to knock this team out, because that is immediate danger. And as you mentioned, with that fuse, they don't really care about what Catalyst has to offer. I've got knuckle clusters. I've got a speed boost depending on if you pick that perk when we walk in, and we want that. As we look at quadruple A still on blues, they and not close to purples, they probably need to shoot their gun a little bit more. Maybe they can clean up this team here.
Yeah, it's going to be critical that they catch this team stuck on the inside as cleanly as possible. They have the position for it. They have the angles, but do they have the damage? No ultimates committed just yet. We did see the mother load go down earlier, so that will not be available. But it looks like it might not matter quite yet. Vidic does pick up the first knock, and they follow it up with a full thirst. So 3v2 scenario should clean this one up, and 202 will not survive the walkout. Quadruple A manages to execute the keep out beautifully and might actually survive as Call Me Dada being pressured away from the third party situation. So they will hold, they will grab those blues, or those purples, excuse me, that came from 202. Much better position there. That holdout paying off massively.
And we're looking here at best fighters. Doesn't look like they have any kills yet. So they're going to need to get on the board, but they do have purple. And one thing you can definitely do is you can get your kills in the end game. A win with 5 to 6 kills is huge. Is Kenox is letting that Hemlock sing, struggling a little bit, getting some poke damage, getting closer and closer to red. Lets out the scan there, and here they come. Looks like they're going to be, I'm not sure how they're going to be able to get out of this. They are being hard held out, knowing that there's teams pretty much everywhere. They might have to take the long way out as best fighters excellently holds that team off from the push that had to hide on.
Yes, sir. And it looks like the evac tower is going to be the selected play here. They might have just enough cover with the icicles here to get away from this one unscathed. It looks like the cover is fantastic. So other than the damage they'll take off the top, they will get to fly here for free. But do they have a place to land? Kenox does take a notable amount of damage on the fly-in, and it looks like they are going to find a spot here in the cave uncontested for the time being. No Watson here to set up a solid bunker, but they have some space to play. They have the loot, and they have the abilities up against SPS, who's still sitting on triple blues. So even though they were here so early, they haven't managed to find the poke to evo things up. So now they're in a bit of a danger zone, even with one of the best spots on the map.
Yeah, it with one of the best spots in the match. Caustic goes down there. Looks like they haven't really gotten any fights since that opening contest that we saw, as the Wraith is just going to chuck grenades to try to buy himself some help. And it looks like this may be the end, but we've seen them overcome these odds. As best fighters now is going to take their spots. We are now down to 8 squads in a very, very small ring here.
This late rotate from best fighters is gonna be potentially game winning here. All they really have to do is finish cleaning up SBS. That's exactly what they do. So now they've taken over this spot again. No real defensive zone holding character to speak of. The Catalyst, of course, performing much better in something like a building we are seeing right now, but they get to hold teams off from a free walk-in, and that is huge. They still have the opportunity to evo up even more shields. They get to wait and see what other teams are forced to do. 30 seconds before this next zone closes, as multiple teams like Kaizen are just stuck outside right now. They're either going to have to fight through the entire backlog of teams that are sitting behind them, or try to force their way forward before other teams do the same.
And we're going to see Kaizen is going to have to move out of this spot. And actually, there is not a lot of places to go as both buildings are occupied. Bill not able to hit the hemlock shots there. This is going to get very chaotic. And on this zone close, you're probably going to see multiple teams fall, as we have at least 3 teams out of the zone. And this looks like best fighters game to win, I think.
And what a story it would be to see a team like Kaizen take this one down. Reminder, they were down to a single player up just a few minutes ago, or rather just about a game ago, and now they are double reds. They are pushing in for even more kills. It looks like their opportunity to clean up this southern edge is going to be taken now. Taking shots everywhere, trying to put on the pressure to open up this fight. You can see the pings there. They do clean up one. Will they survive this walk-up? They have some smokes available, and not too many ultimates left to speak of. Nice damage coming in from Bill. Is going to fall, but will it be the fall that the team needed to walk on in? The Mocad had clutched up already once, but the fire is going to prevent them from walking up again, and now down to a solo once again. This time, Vidic going to be the team that is going to put on the hurt from above.
Absolutely, and looking here at quadruple A, just pinging, just poking at these teams. The fuse is now on red, and even though they do have to drop down, they are going to be able to cause a lot of chaos from this height with the knuckle clusters, with the smokes, even down a man with the Bangalore being out. We've got Kenox, we've got Nane, we've got Vidic, we've got Bavis. This is going to be a very interesting play, as it looks like, did I just see a res beacon come down there? Is that what I just saw?
Oh, that could be a great boon for the squad in the back. Last we saw, it was best fighters that was sitting in this corner. Curious to see if they got contested or if they're still holding down the fort now with all 3 members strong. If this res come through, and yes, it will work out. Kaizen's still below, and this duo here probably is aware, but this is not great for their chances, so they decide they're going to chalk it on up. They're going to try and take this kill. It is going to lose them at least 1 member. Are they even going to win the fight against the solo? They do, but at what cost? No opportunity here to pick up that res, and Vidic just says, you can have it. Best fighters were the best fighters indeed in game number 1.
Absolutely, and that drop down right there was disastrous, as one of them forgot to reload their Havoc. Congratulations to best fighter, who were able to get the best position. That's an interesting Bangalore. I don't think I've ever seen that one. GG's to best fighters after game 1.
Yeah, and I think it was all off of that evac play, right? We thought they were stuck in a pretty dire position on the southern, or rather the westernmost part of Epicenter, where multiple teams were sort of holding them out and putting on the pressure. They took that evac that was relatively covered by that giant icicle. They fly into a free spot and managed to fight what was at the time SPS for that position, and it was the game-winning position after all. Maybe didn't have to fight too hard for it there once they got to that top 3 situation, but well fought. Best fighters on the board with 12 points at the bare minimum, plus at least a couple kills in their pocket as well. And that's exactly how you want to start off a final series.
That is definitely how you want to start out. I mean, you get that momentum going. You've got some team synergy, definitely some confidence there for the best fighters. As you mentioned, didn't exactly have to fight the hardest to get it, as the Fuse just said, you know what, I'll try again tomorrow. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to go to the store real quick. Do you want anything? Interesting final fight there, as it looked like a team on height, just even though they were down, the Bloodhound should have been able to do a little bit more there. You know what I mean? I wonder, like, you know, were the team comms, you know, what was happening there? Best fighters, they just kind of held that spot, and as you mentioned, that rotate to get there, you just hold the spot. At times, guys, in comp, that is what it's about: is do you have the best spot, and can you hold it? That is what Apex is about. Sometimes it's not about who can shoot their gun the best. It's not about, you know, what legends and stuff like that. Sometimes it's just like, hey, I got a better spot than you, and you can't take it from me because you'll die trying.
That's right. And we can take a look at the leaderboard just to see exactly how many points they managed to fight for here. And the team coming out the best is actually Kaizen, believe it or not. They racked up a mountain of kills on the way there. Of course, we saw that early game fight where we had the Mocad down to just a solo 1v2. And from there, they catapult themselves to a fantastic game, finishing in the top 3 and taking down so many points, enough to dethrone Quadruple A and Call Me Dada, as well as the winning team in game 1, Best Fighters, with 15 points. But that is, of course, only the first game of the series, so we are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, even more Apex action on World's Edge.
And we are back with game 2 coming up, guys. Kaizen taking that first game, having a big first game, I should say. What are we going to be looking for with some of these teams that, you know, didn't do their best in game 2? Because the good thing about this, Mello, is it's only the first game, and as you know, one game changes it all. So what are we going to be looking for going into game 2 with some of these teams?
mean, certainly one thing to look at is going to be the performance of Golem there. We expected them to be the team, the terror of the lobby, if you will. They were not even present in the top 10, I believe, falling very early on the northeastern edge of maybe rank 3, which is, again, not where we expect to see them. They're a team that plays pretty high octane, taking up a lot of kills. We saw that their composition was there to match, actually rocking the Revenant, one of the few teams rocking the Revenant. So it's a team that we expect to do well in those 3v3s, especially on the edge. The fact that we didn't see them in that end game, I expect to see something different from them in game number 2. Another team that, and I can't believe I'm ever having to say this on an Apex broadcast, but I'm gonna take a look at the Kardashians for this next game, because we saw that they were contesting Kaizen, and that team ended up coming back and actually topping the leaderboard after their performance in game number 1, and that was off of a huge clutch up from the Mocad. So if they are able to damper the progress, the momentum, as you said, of Kaizen by winning out this contesting game number 2, we could be seeing an entirely different leader and an entire leaderboard shakeup here if the Kardashians are able to perform.
Absolutely. As we look at the character select screen for game number 2, the Kardashians, the question is are they going to chow that again? Kaizen is our leader going into game 2. Hopefully we go straight to Overlook to see if we're going to get that chow. Because as you mentioned, if you lose that early contest and you finish 20th, that is a long 20 minutes, Mello. So we're going to see, and hopefully we get straight into that and see if the Kardashians can turn it around. Kim, Kylie, and the rest of the gang will see what they're able to do and how they're able to do it as some people are leaving the dropship. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game 2 of the Apex Legends Global Series Challenger Circuit Finals.
Second finals that we get to experience here for the EMEA region. Off to a very exciting start. I am thoroughly impressed so far with some of the fights that we've gotten to see and some of the rotations that we've gotten to witness already. But still time for some of our lower leaderboard teams to clean things up, to come on back. 5 games, including this one. So even though might have had a rough start, there was always opportunity to have a big game and start to mount a comeback. As we drop from the ship, we're gonna get the ship, excuse me, we're gonna get to see if that contest is going to run back over towards the top left. And if I'm seeing this correctly, the Kardashians have been allowed the entirety of a lava to themselves, so no contest here for the Kardashians up against Kaizen. Instead, we're going to check in on a different contest here on the map with Team Listen.
Team Listen is saying, listen up here as they're able to get the shots. This Bangalore needs to go do something else as they only have one gun. So it looks like the Kardashians have, I don't want to say tucked their tail, but that's kind of what happened as we go over here and we do have a contest as we see the catalyst spikes go down. And it looks like Chambi desperately needs to heal. 202 eliminates SES. I believe again, Fat Kid community goes down as well. Not the best start. 0 points for both of those teams. And now hopefully they're having some good conversations about what needs to be done. As 202 getting some early KP and probably is going to want to rotate as quickly as they possibly can.
Yeah, we're going to see Fat Kid and SCS losing out on both of their contests on World's Edge for both of our opening matches. So possibly back to the drawing board, making an adjustment, much like what we already saw over for the side of Kaizen. Last Hope is the team that is going to beat out. I believe it was Team Silent that fell there. So once again, just rough starts for all of these teams once again. Down to 17 squads, so the entire lobby going to have a little bit of extra breathing room to work with, for better or for worse, as we start to see those rotations coming through from some of these center map teams. Already 3 squads here, including Bananas and Pajamas, contesting for this landslide POI.
I'm calling it right now. They're going to win this just on the name alone. I'm looking for the Bloodhound to get some scans in just 8. But the problem is the Watson does have that height with it fenced off. That's going to be incredibly difficult to push a lot of people in landslide, considering there's almost nothing there. Very interesting. We've already seen 3 different teams here. As Bananas and Pajamas says, you know what? We will kill you later, and they're going to go rotate because that is the smart thing to do. I see double energy with only 100 bullets. That can't be a good sign. As we rotate over to Sky West, and a lot of teams are just kind of chilling, doing their thing, getting some loot, and that is important. This is how you avoid 0 points. This is your IGL is telling you like, hey guys, let's relax, let's chill as they swap the gold helmet here.
Eyes on SPS right now, who had what ended up being the game-winning position towards the mid-game, ended up losing 2 best fighters. And once again, they're finding themselves very early in what is likely to be one of the potential end zones that we could see from these 2 ring overlaps. And I think they're liking their chances right now, but it is going to be imperative that they poke out teams that are rotating in after them. They need to get that Evo up. They need to get as much loot as they can get, because realistically, they're not going to see a whole lot of it for the rest of the game other than whatever kills might come their way. The Kardashians now in a similar position of their own, going to get to play out a bit of a longer game than they did in game number 1. But similarly, sitting here pretty early, and I'd say not really with the composition that you love to have, with somewhere where you're just trying to bunker down, hold it down for the late game. So we'll have to keep an eye on the Kardashians and see what they make of this game number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And with this zone pulling towards Skyhook at the moment, you are going to see a lot of people holding in buildings. The problem is there's not exactly enough buildings for everyone to occupy. So some people are going to get pushed, as we do have a fight here with GSC. He's got a Hemlock. If he's got an alternator, hopefully he's got Disruptor round, because that thing is useless without it. As we see Watson doing what Watson does. And looking here at the last hope. Anyone's looking for an opening knock, as the Watson takes a lot of damage, is going to back up here. They're going to think about their life choices. They're going to back up just a tiny bit, or maybe fully retreat here. We're going to see, if you're not taking that early fight, that's probably the best thing, and we will figure out and get some placement points here, because that is just as important as getting kills, and in a lot of cases, it's actually more important, especially the more teams that get eliminated.
And we can already see the teams that are juggling for those early position. GSC on your screens, the team that is also rocking the Watson. So we are seeing a pretty Watson heavy lobby so far. They seem to be placing their bets on holding out this southwestern edge over towards the countdown. And it could be a decent spot. It could even pull their way, though it is unlikely. I think a large proportion of SkyWest is taken up by those zones, so I'd anticipate having to play around how you're going to fight your way into one of those spots. Right now, Kamidata is trying to fight their way out of this mess. They are already down 2, and Horizon going to have to come up with a huge clutch up, but not even close as Septic takes them down.
Septic comes in, kicking in the door, waving the 4-4, an aggressive push, and they're going to have to get, they're just right outside of zone. So a little bit of KP, but they are going to be playing edge here. As we take a look at best fighters, who they don't have a lot of damage yet, but they are on purple, so they've got to be playing those mini games, hitting the harvesters, hitting the assault bins. And it looks like they're going to be pushing forward, looking for anything in opening here, but the Bangall is going to maybe give them just a little bit of space, as that other team is running for their life at the moment.
And they're being chased away from zone, mind you, actually being forced south. And there's still a team hanging out by staging. So the amount of space that this squad has left to work with is quickly dwindling. And I don't think you can really force this fight up against best fighters. They're pretty well kitted from the looks of it. Gold helmet on their Bangalore as well for Nain. So Yeah, that is a very scary 3v3 to be taken, especially with a pretty solid idea that there is at least one more team waiting in the wings, waiting to walk their way into this next zone. As we check in with the teams that are already in zone over by SkyWest, we get a preview of the next ring. And yes, indeed, we'll actually just be pulling to the eastern edge of Skyhook, where we see a huge pileup already of maybe 6, 7 teams up there at the top of the map.
Yeah, and these teams that are in zone at the moment, you will probably see in the top 5. These teams that are on the outside looking in are going to have a very hard time getting into position, because as I mentioned, there's just not enough buildings for this many teams. As we see, we got the Kardashians, Last Hope, Bananas and Pajamas, Kaizen, as well as Convergent already in the ring. We've got some teams holding the center building. Keep us down already rocking the lifeline. And I'm telling you right now, if you're not running the lifeline, you are throwing. #1 pred in the world lifeline. Shouts out to Hardeki, who's been running lifeline for a very long time, but they're in a weird spot, just holding the bottom of this building. It can get drop down on any moment, but for sure Lifeline has that gold knock. So with the smoke, it could be a dangerous combination. So we're going to keep a look on them. They've done no damage, and they are pretty much fully kitted. They're going to be able to get batteries with the Lifeline care package. So let's keep an eye on QPMS Sky Zoo in Euro, I believe that says.
Yeah, and that is like kind of a dream scenario, and why you take why you take that lifeline, right? They haven't really had to work a whole lot, haven't even had to poke for all that much, and already sitting on the highest ranked shield there, a red shield for at least one member coming from the care packages, most certainly. The spot is weird though, as you already shouted out. I expect that they're gonna be playing for maybe a bit of a third party, just waiting out, hoping that teams walk away. Because while it is weird, there aren't actually a lot of angles that teams can attack them from yet, as a lot of the buildings that were taken up early are actually on the western edge, where they don't really have the opportunity to shoot this squad. But as more and more teams start to crowd, teams like CC Police, they start to crowd this eastern edge, more teams are going to be in buildings that can shoot them out. So I think they're either hoping that maybe teams miss them, maybe teams just let them have a little bit of room and they look for a third party of their own, or they got to start booking it, because as we've already noted, teams are starting to fall into places that they're not going to be able to access later on.
And then you see a team like CC Police, who you're just looking at, who is also running a lifeline, so they most likely have that gold knock as well. The smaller this zone gets, as you look at the map here, we see teams on triple blue. That's just not going to cut it. You're going to be at a you kind of have to make a decision. Like, are you going to fight or just hold? But you can't hold with triple blues with the ring being small, and just this many teams alive. As we see best fighters with an aggressive rotate on a building that is pretty much free somehow. I'm not even sure how that is possible. As they look at the Kardashians, we've got GSC, the Kardashians, and Best Fighters looking at each other, trying to get angles. Probably not going to get a push on a knock, but somehow that building is still free this late in the game. Amazing.
And that's something that you can love or often hate about these skyhook zones, is the fact that there are actually many buildings and they're multi-tiered. So you might actually just be able to find either an open floor or an open building pretty late into the game. It might not be the best building, and as we saw here, some teams gambled and lost as the counter pull comes through for that next zone. So they actually fall into potentially going to be one of the best end game positions if they're able to hold it here. And that is all off the back of the zone just pulling a little wonky, pulling a little bit away from the teams that were here early. And that's actually really great for the Lifeline team we saw just a little bit earlier, sitting around that ultimate height. rather underneath that ultimate height in the center of Skyhook, because now even fewer squads can hold that north side. It is not going to be in the next couple of zones. Those teams will move away and open up a little bit of space, a little bit of breathing room for them to play. So very interesting pull here. This is what is difficult about Skyhook zones, is how you're going to maneuver to the next building, how you're going to building hop, and how you're going to hold your own.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see best fighters poking through the windows, they are smack dead in the center of zone at the moment, but they are going to have to move. So we will definitely see the cat walls, the bang smokes come out. We are down to not nearly as many teams as we see multiple teams. We got a team hanging out in train station on Triple Blues. This is going to be interesting as we still have 16 teams left with it about to be round 5. Chaos in game 2. It looks like that is definitely on the menu as we are going to see a lot of teams fall on this rotate as Bushi and Taylor Golem finally in there. They don't have any kills yet. I'm very surprised by that.
Yeah, and that's another reason why Skyhook zones can be just an absolute nightmare for edge teams. It's really difficult to take fights near the edge zone when the edge of zone is just littered with safe buildings that are difficult to push, especially in this Skyhook area. We saw by the eastern edge, I think we saw Convergent there for a moment, or CC Police. Those are spots where normally in a different zone, you might want to take a fight there around ring 3, ring 4. Not really the opportunity to do so when so many teams have already taken up buildings that are still safe in zones somehow. So Golem finds a spot of their own. Can be happy with that, but they're, I'm sure, not going to be super happy with that 0-kill scoreline yet. There's still some time. There's still an opportunity to have a huge game here, as you mentioned in game 1. Sometimes you find those kills in the end game, at the very end of the match, when you're wiping teams out for the win.
Absolutely. Here as we look at Lifeline, Bang, and Bloodhound, they're able to hold a team out. Big crack right there by Skyzoo. Are they going to walk up on this? Lifeline's not sure what they want to do because they know that there's someone on top of them, and absolutely gets put right back in their place. They are not able to capitalize on that damage. And we've got 15 squads. There's so many teams. There's so many opportunities for damage as Tipa's down has to go right back under. They're still in this very awkward spot, but as you mentioned, Mello, not a lot of angles unless you're right on top and they pop out like that. As we see another fight as Kaizen is looking to get an angle here, walking up, huge nade by the Bloodhound. Bill goes down as Bang on those blues. They are in trouble. Catalyst is going to go down here as well. It is all up to Milo Shiki. I think that's how you pronounce that. My apologies if not. If he's trying to climb, he is barely in ring here. He is going to rat it out. No, he's not.
Oh,
no,
Bananas
he
in
is not.
Pajamas not going to let that one come through. Calling it out completely. So, I think the scan came through just in time to know where they were, and they are going to pick up that kill. Great fight there for Bananas in Pajamas to defend from that attack from Kaizen, but it looks like they couldn't quite defend from an amazing shot from Bavis coming out with the flat line. They got that gold res though, so they're going to have their teammate right back up. Aqua is going to be able to be reestablished. They have Watson to continue to hold, and the zone continues to bounce around. Ireek, I think it has gone back up to the northeast, right where some of the squads on your screen are currently sitting. That includes T-Pass, who has been holding what we continue to call an awkward spot, but as the zone has gotten smaller and smaller, fewer and fewer teams are able to shoot at them, and Quadruple A is doing so much work for them by preventing squads from sitting above on top of these buildings and poking them out. So actually doing the work for two teams right now is Quadruple A, but both of these teams are eventually going to have to get off of their perch. And it looks like a team has been forced to swing on in. It is going to be Septic who takes down T-Pass down, but now they have a Caustic Ultimate on their heads, and not really a safe place to walk out and avoid it right now. CC Police falling as well.
And we are down to 11 squads, and it is going to get extremely heavy as they're trying to get this Bloodhound up, but he's got some free shots in the back. They're going to go down. He gets stunned. We are about to see absolute chaos as he's trying to create some space with the knuckle clusters, just moving, grooving. They're going to take this. I do not know where. Oh, no. They're going to use the exploit. They're going to get the ultimate wall hacks here. I don't know if he did it correctly. I can't tell. Yes, they absolutely did. As you can see, a lot of people are a little bit upset about what Septic just did. They do think this is, questionable, if you will. But you know what? It's not. If you're trying, they are trying to get anything, as they are just in a terrible spot here at the moment. 7 hostiles right in front of them. There are still 10 teams alive in this zone.
I'll be honest, as long as Quadruple A continues to help them out, Septic has fought for the spot that T-Pass was in just a little bit ago, and it opens up a lot of opportunities for them because these teams now most certainly cannot afford to peek on out. Meds certainly running low for a lot of these squads. There are a lot of Watsons that are keeping up that shield economy for some of the teams sitting in the center. Bananas in Pajamas, your team that you called out for a fantastic name coming into this finals lobby, now in a fantastic position. But is it a game-winning one? Multi-tiered building gonna mean they are already coexisting with 1, 2, maybe even 3 squads. Are they gonna be the ones on top at the end of it all? We will find out soon as this final ring begins to close.
And it's going to be interesting here, as Bananas in Pajamas is going to have to probably go out first. This is going to be a very interesting fight as SPS and Quadruple A goes down there. We are down to 8 squads. It looks like we've got 7 trios, 1 duo. Aqua just looking for a spot. Here comes Bananas in Pajamas. What's this nade going to do? Let's check it out. Checking for wind resistance, I suppose. Just waiting for that team to climb over and hopefully just do one of the great nades that we're going to see today. But there it is. But the
gets eaten.
But the Wiseman pylon eats it up. But if he's going to nade the same spot, I would not advise. They do have a knock there. Are they going to be able to get them up? Big damage right there by Takeo. They're going to have to rotate out here. We are about to get chaos as the Bangalore ult comes down. Here comes the Havoc singing. He goes down. He has to go knock. That is a definite disadvantage for the team as people are dropping down from the heavens. Huge damage. Can this Bloodhound survive? He gets the scan. Gonna play the knock here. Gonna pop a bat. 6 squads left. Absolute chaos. Cat walls, thermites, Bangalore ult. The Kardashians just chilling out up top.
And they have so much space to put down all of the cluster grenades, all of the damage. It is just flying left and right, even getting behind one of the last squads that had a relatively safe spot to play away from the Kardashians, and it is just down to them. Revenant does have an ultimate, though, and it is enough. Not enough damage being dealt by the bow. And Golem, after a tragic game number 1, bring it all back and take down our second game of the series.
And I'm not sure if they ran out of hemlock bullets there and they were just forced to use the bow check. That was amazing as Golem does what they do best. They're able to win any 3v3 in this lobby. And at the end of the day, they were able to take the victory. So 12 points for them for first place. Now let's see how many kills they were able to get, as we weren't able to really follow them throughout that match. But that was a very chaotic end game as we look at Golem with 26 points in first place. AAA there with 23. Kaizen didn't have the best game. 2, they're in 21, still in the hunt. And if you look at the standings right now, there are a lot of people still in this as we head over to game 3.
Yeah, and I mean, just flying up the leaderboard, I think I wasn't able to follow them too closely in their first Challenger circuit, but it is a team that seems to just be in the right places often. They managed to just sneak into a skyhook zone, and from there, the RNG sort of played their way. They were able to hold their spot for as long as they needed to get into that last fight, and that Revenant overshield just goes such a long way in those final moments of these games. Turns out to be exactly what they needed to take down this win. We will see if they can continue that into game 3. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, our final game on World's Edge.
and we are back after a really hectic game two as we go into our final match on World's Edge. Let me ask you this, Mello. There's a couple of teams that after two games still have 0 points. What do you think they should be doing? Fat Kid Communities, Team Listen. I mean, Conversion has 2 points. What do you think they should be doing, or maybe a strategy they can to climb up that leaderboard?
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit tough because a lot of the teams have their experience, have their game plan set around one POI, and these have all been losses out of a 3v3 contest on drops. So it really is difficult to want to give that up just for a couple of potentially extra points by finding an open POI. So unfortunately, I think I expect them to just maybe at most change up the composition to try to give themselves an edge in the 3v3. But at the same time, I mean, might just be the moment to just chalk it up and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we just are going to give this one up on World's Edge. Maybe we win this contest and have a great game. I don't really know. Probably a little too late to be changing up anything too dramatically. But as I say that, we did see that there was a switch up in the POI selection for Kaizen, giving Kardashians a huge game there. We saw them towards that end game, and Kaizen themselves not doing too shabby, even though they fell a little bit earlier in that game. So they're still sitting in that top three position with 21 points. I think actually just eking out 1 point there. So maybe not as great as I was giving them credit, but quadruple A finding themselves in an end game, and Golem once again showing why they are such a threat in the lobby.
Yeah, and you're gonna see Golem. They were able. They didn't have very many points the first game, if any. I can't remember. I think they had two or three. So a huge game too. The thing that the lobby is going to have to worry about is the fact that Golem is trying to take every fight they possibly can. They have an aggressive comp, obviously with the Revenant. They have just enough defense with the Newcastle. So this lobby, they need to take them down, or Golem, who, as I mentioned before, they ripped off 3 wins in a row in a challenger circuit. So I want to see those teams go ahead and maybe chow them and just play their best shot. But if you look in the top 10, from Golem all the way down to 202, maybe SPS, all of these teams are pretty much just one win or one really good game away from being right up there.
Yeah, certainly a possibility for all of these squads. Not a huge margin, and teams like Kaizen did miss out on an opportunity to widen that margin in game number three, in game number two, excuse me, going into game number three. So I think a lot of teams that we've seen near the end zones, I certainly am looking at teams like CC Police, who is, I believe, our second seed coming into today. They managed to get a second place finish in their first challenger circuit just outside the podium there, or just outside that top spot rather. And other teams like maybe SCS or SPS, who are finding their way close to the end game, maybe even finding themselves in an end game spot, but not quite getting the execution that they need to have a big finish. I will say Skyhook zones do oftentimes end up being a bit of a dogpile because of the amount of quote unquote playable space that often turns out to be far from a great space to play into the late game. So with the zone hopefully swapping up for us, maybe something towards the southern end of the map. We'll see some teams capitalize on that opportunity to have a solid game number three to close out the first half of the series.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm looking for bananas in pajamas right before we load into game three. I'm looking for some teams to just kind of lock it in a little bit more. We see who has came to play so far. I want to see best fighters get back in there and have another good game. Or maybe it was just, they had a good spot. Are they able to keep that momentum going? Teams like Call Me Dada, who have had some success. This is going to be an interesting final 4 games as we get ready for our final game on World's Edge before we switch over to Storm Point. And you brought up something a little bit interesting. Maybe switch up a comp. I don't even know if you do that. I mean, as we load into the game, of course you rack up the challenger circuit, the points, but we're trying to win here. We're trying to get to LCQs, so we got to do whatever is necessary to put us in our best position. So we're gonna see if everybody keeps up the same comps. We know Golem's gonna, their tried and true format. We're gonna see if anybody switches it up. I do see a couple of lifelines, and I'm interested to see who is going to contest. We saw the Kardashians decide, we're not gonna do that after the first game. They found an open spot, and they were able to have some success there.
We'll have to wait a bit and see as dropship coming through. Pretty nice dropship, I would say. Pretty much right down the middle, angled bottom left to top or right. So everyone should be making it to their respective drop spots with relative ease as we roll into game number 3. Again, our final match on World's Edge before we hop on over to Storm Point to close things out. And certainly eyes on the big contests we expect. We got Fat Kid, we got SCS, we got a number of teams that really need to make some magic happen here to have at least a better than terrible start for the first half of the series.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for some of these teams, the odds are, plus 2,000 for them. If you were a betting man, is 202, was just kind of looping around, looking for hopefully a second gun. But it looks like they already have a team on their backs, and there goes the Bloodhound scan. We're going to get some height here, and we have a contest, and we'll see how this plays out. As the scans come across, they're looking just for an angle, anything, a knock, a crack, anything here. As this team, they are locked in, of sorts, with the catalyst reinforcements. But let's see. It looks like Shin, as Catalyst takes huge damage right there, but he's able to return the crack. He's got a car in a Mastiff. I don't know if he's on roller or not, but I hope for the other team's sake that he's not, because it could get very, very ugly very quick here for 202.
And has the purple mag on it as well. A little bit of ammo that they're going to walk past here. Looks like a member has been left a little bit out to dry, but a little bit of a sneaky play here. 202 weaving this fight a little bit better, inching out that advantage. There are some knocks being traded out, but still no knocks. Cat v cat, and finally things get opened up, and it's going to be from Chambi actually knocking and thirsting a member of 202. Finally the turnaround, but this is what I was about to say. A stalemate here is detrimental for both of these squads, as Bananas in Pajamas has already flown in for the third party. They're going to be the ones to pick up Bren. They're going to be the ones to just tear this fight apart and come out the other side a beneficiary, as Best Fighters has joined as well.
So now we have 3 teams here. Bananas and Pajamas are coming up the stairs, but their third party is very short-lived, as the catalyst for Best Fighters Bangalore is already down, and they're going to have to rotate through the lava, and this is going to get very, very hectic, as there are no teams full killed yet, but we do have a couple of members down. But Bananas and Pajamas says this wasn't our moment. We're going to go rehearse. We're going to back up here a little bit. If we've got 2 on blue, 1 on white, and they are going to just get a little bit more loot. That is the one thing about a contest, is you don't have much time to loot, and you end up not having much as you rotate potentially into another fight, as it takes, if it takes too long. Because we look at Golem, who is fighting. I'm not sure who they're fighting, but I can tell you this, with Rev on purple, they are most certainly game for that fight.
Yeah, already getting a little bit of height here. They continue the chase. Scan are going to come through, but Vushi actually finding that one member a little bit too close off the scan, and is actually going to lose a member. They've traded 1 out. I don't really know. No, going to fall. But that Revan is going to fall as well, and this is just disgusting. The composition doing exactly what it needs to maybe turn things around. But the burst from the Volt is beautiful, and Fat Kid community will fall again.
And that is what one of the problems with like a Newcastle or a Lifeline res is it forces you to react. They, under any other circumstances, they are able to just kind of let that knock sit there, thirsted when they get around. But because the Newcastle came in with the res, not only with the res, but the gold
res.
knock, fat kid community is losing weight by the second as they are not eating at all. They have 3 games, 0 points, and we need them to show some life here. As best fighters, looks like they're going to be rotating into that team as Convergence. Somebody gets absolutely smoked from a distance here. And they might want to smoke this out and back up. This is not the fight you want to take in this type of area. We're going to see the 30-30s out. He's got 30-30 vault. Getting some huge shots, a crack right there. But are they able to take advantage of it? He says, I've got good aim. 45 right there as they shoot through the smoke. Let's see what's going to happen here, Mello.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see if Convergent can pull out a solid game here in game number 3. They were a team that was just short of the CC1 finals, so starting to try and prove here a little bit why they deserve to be here in the first place anyway. We're going to check in with a fight down by the south. This is where Golem was just a few moments ago, and it looks like their next set of victims has just walked right into them. That is going to be Best Fighters coming over from presumably maybe Dome or the last few remaining members of that Siphon fight that we saw earlier. And they're going to be taken out swiftly by Golem. So now the game plan that Golem has been looking for is starting to come together and is sort of starting to get gifted to them, it seems. Triple Purples already over 4 KP, I imagine, as they've already taken a full 3v3 plus that wipe. So Golem already starting to break that lead up a little bit more, and we are just into our first round close, Eirik.
Yeah, and Gollum, they walk up to Best Fighters and said, no, you're not. We are the best fighters, and they absolutely roll them. They're going to have a long rotation out of zone. They're going to craft some med kits because they don't have a lot. It looks like Taylor only has 2. As we look over right in between, right outside of Harvester, we got a fight. Bananas in pajamas, here they come. On their heels a little bit here is Aqua trying to get an angle. Not with the R99. That is not what you want to do, I promise you. It looks like the Bloodhound is going to fall there. They're going to full back up. Now, this is going to be interesting because just as I was going to say, there is somebody right in front of them. This is the definition of pinch. We're going to see the Watson fences come down here. The Bloodhound gets a full kill. I don't know if you smoke that and try to get that box because they don't have a support character. They're going to risk it for the biscuit, not the banana there. Going to get right back in, and they are able to recover the Bloodhound. Now, that's one thing is that team is still looking there. I'm surprised they haven't slid down on them. So we're going to see how this plays out as Bananas and Pajamas is in a predicament. They might end up in somebody's smoothie because they are not in the best places. We look at Team Listen, does have a kill on the board. They are finally on the board here, Mello. So we're going to see if they're able to keep the good times rolling and maybe get a little momentum here.
And I think that is probably the squad that picked up the kill onto onto Bananas in Pajamas. Instead of pressuring and continuing to try and clean up this 3v3, they are understanding of the fact that just 40 seconds left before they are eventually pushed in by this next zone close. So they're going to have to start moving. Honestly, I think I would have opted a little bit for the cleanup there as opposed to just letting that team have a duo, because now that is a team that is rotating on their back, possibly a team that might be able to get their third member up and be 3 strong once again, and is going to start to crowd that edge of the map a little bit more. So we'll see if it comes back to bite them or if they manage to find a solid spot in this next zone, which fortunately for I think most of us watching is pulling once again over towards the north, once again centered over towards this epicenter area, maybe a touch further south than what we saw from that survey camp zone. So teams like CC Police, teams that are already starting up on the northern edge, are going to have a slight advantage, especially squads that are running that Watson, those defensive compositions that are just setting up bunkers early for that end game.
Absolutely. As we take a look at GSC and CC Police, they are kind of already set up. It looks like they are in the next zone. We do have a Bangalore ult coming out. I'm not sure exactly what they're throwing it at, but they do have a care package nearby as well. We have 3 teams trying to come through and fight for position here. Is SPS. We got a Crypto in their element. looking for anything, potentially looking for places to go, people to see, people to kill, potentially, as we have SPS, and he is free camming right now. Looks like he's probably going to try to scan the top of Epicenter, but he's not going to be able to because there is a team. We have another zone closing with 16 squads, and this is going to be another interesting fight. Not quite as interesting as last round because this is going to be certainly more out in the open, but we're going to see who's going to fight for a position, who's going to take their position as we move deeper into match 3.
Yeah, we've seen this a number of times from SPS at this point. They seem to be in decent spots going into the mid game. They have at least one Sentinel in their arsenal, as well as we see a 30-30 here from Muriel. They're trying to poke out for those shields. They have a great position to do it, but I think it's a little bit too much space for them to hold with the Caustic. Caustic not quite as proficient as something like a Watson for holding these sort of open, non-building sort of spots. And it looks like they might agree here as they are going to start to set up their rotate, porting into this next area over by the epicenter, checking this low building to see if it's open. And they were just a couple of seconds too late on the draw, getting out-rotated, outpaced by a squad in their face. And now this game plan has quickly taken a turn for the worse, as they might be forced to hold out this edge. They might be forced to hold multiple teams that we've already seen are sitting on multiple purples, tons of fantastic loot to fight this. SPS gonna have to pull out all the stops here to survive.
Yeah, absolutely. As we go back into Miami and we see the Lifeline team, Sky Zoo walking up against, it looks like Bananas in Pajamas. Now, they did get that kill earlier, have not done much since, as Bananas in Pajamas Aqua gets a good spray there. The Havoc, of course, in Season 21, Bangalore taking a lot of damage. It looks like they get their first knock there. So how Aqua goes down, so how are they going to be able to play this out? The Bang is going to heal, reset. Now, keep in mind that the other team, I stand corrected, they're not going to be able to get the rest here, but they do have a lifeline, as it looks like. Is that a third-party team list that says, listen up, we want some of this, 0 points, no more, as the Vantage throws the nade, and they're going to get pushed out here with a rotate coming in as well. You don't see too many Vantages in any lobby, let alone a comp lobby, but that is the beauty of it. Their sniper is basically aimbot, as he's going to be able to get some pokes, and I think we're going to see Vantage shine. If they can find a spot in the next zone, we're going to see Vantage shine and really be able to use that sniper, as they're going to ult right into a crypto EMP, and this is going to be probably bad for them. This SPS is on the hunt.
Yeah, this is sort of what we were talking about here. They were forced to turn around and take out yet another squad because they left multiple teams alive, causing a bit of a train wreck behind them. It might come back to cost them T-Pass, though. Going to be the next team to follow. SPS having to execute that keep out we were mentioning earlier, seeming to do an okay job right now. That Catalyst wall, though, cutting off their sight lines a bit. They're advancing these barrels forward, trying to peek out, trying to find what team has intruded. And they seem to be on the front foot here, as they did get a knock. Is going to be a re-knock, it looks like. I think there might have been a res there playing behind that knockdown shield. They're going to get a second as well. A thirst coming through, and SPS managed to hold finally after holding great spots throughout these last couple of games and finally executing. But they have one member slowing them down. It's going to be the last member of Kaizen with red shields, mind you. Not going to be enough to keep off SPS.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kaizen, this SCS is eliminated as well. Kaizen having a little bit of trouble gaining some momentum after that first victory. As we look here, DC Police, they're going to want to get some. As they play on the bridge, they are just looking for an angle. It looks like we have a res as well. There is a lot going on here as we go, as round 4 is closing. CC Police walking up, just looking for a spot. They are well outside of zone, and it's going to be very, very hard for them to get out. We're going to see they got somebody in their sights looking for anything. And this is going to be an interesting rotate for them. They do have the Bloodhound who can scan to make sure that they don't run into anybody, as well as the Bang Smokes for the rotation, as Bananas and Pajamas is down to now one person. Pops the Bloodhound out is Golem. This is not going to go good for Bananas and Pajamas as they get turned into Banana Pudding right there, as we're down to the top 10 squads in our third match.
Not a whole lot of room left to play here, even though this is just zone 4. You can see just how little space, so little building really is left to play. Team Listen gonna follow suit and fall next, following Bananas and Pajamas. GSC trying to fight their way in as well, but they are eating zone damage and eating damage from this team in front of them. They have a little bit of a corner to play with this gen, but it is not going to last. Kardashian's part of this dogpile as well. Gonna find a couple of kills and big damage coming through for Kim, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. And the last hope is going to stuff out the last hope for the Kardashians to pick up 4 points on World's Edge. And here are all of the crashes. Ireek, no real space left to play, so they're gonna fight for what's left.
DRG is able to finish somebody off. We got 7 spots. This house is probably golden right now as he drops down. Big Havoc sprays at Bangalore. Somebody's going to chase him, but they're going to make sure they are able to maintain this building. They said don't worry about that solo as we're down to 5 squads, 13 people. Here comes the Bangal at any moment here as we got a team on triple blues, which is just interesting to say the least. We'll call it that. You got to do something. Now, a third party is their only hope here, because if they walk into a 3v3, they will probably get rolled. We see DRG just looking for any type of space, looking for anything just slightly out of zone. But that building is just, I mean, look at it. Look at the zone here, Mello. Like, this is going to be an interesting play as a lot of teams are on the outside looking in, trying to get into the club, if you will. But they don't have any money. So we're going to see how this final zone is popping out with our last 5 squads. The Bangle goes down.
And this is just ring 5, but again, the ring was so brutal. It didn't really leave a lot of opportunity for teams to find a safe spot. And I love the way DRG is playing this. They actually technically control the building, but they're holding so much open space, so many angles, because they need to pressure these squads. They want to be the last team to make it to this building, and they want to pick up all of the kills that rightfully belong to them for being in the right spot. The last hope, our team with triple blues, is going to have a rough go of it, but it looks like they're going to sneak into a playable position. Maybe no, this corner will not be enough. They're going to walk on up. They're going to lose one. They're going to start to take fire from the back. And this is DRG's moment to say, all right, we've had enough. This building is still ours. They reclaim it. They refortify. And they will be in a great position to take this game if these squads on the outside continue to fall the way they are.
Absolutely. And DRG, interestingly enough, holding this building with 0 control characters. This is gun skill and gun will, ladies and gentlemen. They will not be denied this game as we're down to 5 squads, 11 people. People are dropping like flies. Now, Gollum is at the bottom of zone here. They're not in a good spot, but they are hiding behind the Newcastle wall as SPS is just kind of chilling, not wasting any resources, really. They're going to come up that zip and probably get folded here if they're able to hit their shots. This is DRG's game 100% to win. Now, we're going to see if SPS maybe does a portal play of some kind. I don't know what you do here. Do you kidnap somebody? Do you skynade? I don't know what you do here, but a lot of teams are just in terrible positions as Crypto gets out the Game Boy.
First things first is going to be setting up a spot for this EMP to pay things off. It looks like they are going to go for a bit of a kidnap. Not quite working out. But you see the team right above them. I don't think they were quite paying attention. It is going to be Golem, who does still have 2 members, having lost Vushi early. They could be the ones to pick up the kill here, but walking up on the low ground to this Newcastle, and SPS is just getting dismantled right now from the Golem duo, getting a little overzealous with the position, and it is going to cost them, but it is just down to 1, and I believe it is going to be DRG, the last team standing. They are about to be 3 strong with that gold res. is going to be all too easy. I don't think they know that there's just a duo left, though, lacking knowledge. No scan coming through quite yet, and there it is. They see the duo. They see the opportunity to take this game down, and I think there's just going to be a straight up run once again into zone to try and deny the satisfaction of the cleanup, but DRG is going to be more than satisfied with that game. They pick up the right kills, and they pick up our final win on World's Edge.
Absolutely. And DRG, I mean, this is another example like we saw in game one, where they were able to have the best spot and just let the chaos happen around them. But not to mention, they were able to get kills in the meantime from teams who tried to push that building, who tried to take that spot. And again, the fact that they were able to hold that spot with no control edge, and Pathfinder just sitting there with, I guess, sips. Congratulations to DRG for taking that third match.
Yeah, and they really squeezed out every point that they could out of what was just a great position, a phenomenal place to be around that fourth, fifth ring. And I think they understood that so many teams are going to fall just because the ring left no space to play safely. They could soak up all of those kills. They could continue to evo if they had any evoing left to do, and they have such a strong 3v3 composition that is going to be able to fight out any team, even if they were a full 3-stack. In this case, though, Golem, the last team left with a duo, having lost one member early, even with the fighting prowess, were on the back foot from the very beginning. Positionally, I mean, health wise, everything was stacked against them, and they are toppled by our game 3 winners. So we will get a chance to look at the leaderboard before we go onto the break to see just how much progress they have made, and they are going to fall into that second place slot. But Eirik, check out who's still commanding that first place.
Golem is having their way, and if I was anybody in this lobby, I would take it personal, because at this point, to win this with a 23-point lead going into 3-point matches, and they don't seem to be slowing down. Some teams, if you want to take this Challenger Circuit Finals for EMEA, you're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive. Golem, we knew DRG was going to win that match, but look how many teams Golem took with them on the way down just to get the second. So not only did they get more kills, they were able to get some placement points just by mowing down that lobby up until, DRG just had a better position on it.
Yeah, and what would be, I think, an even more, shall I say, insulting storyline would be the fact that Golem, if they were to win a second Challenger Circuit, I'm not sure how the rules go, but just denying that win again to another squad, I think likely it goes to the second place team, but I will not speak out of my knowledge of the rule sets, but I think I am getting confirmation that that would be the case. So, hey, the fact that you're already playing for second in this lobby just goes to show how dominant and perhaps how deserving Golem already is towards getting their spot into that LCQ. But in any case, we will have to wait and see if any team is able to just pick themselves up and try to get themselves over that first place scoreline that Golem has set. When we come back, we get to swap over to Storm Point for our second half of this series. Don't go anywhere.
we are back. We're headed over to Storm Point. Gollum with a commanding lead at the moment with 52 points. Before we start talking about Storm Point, I want to take just a couple of seconds to thank our host Versus. Do me a favor, do exclamation point verse VSA in chat right now to enter 100 to register to join $150 tournament for the EMEA region. Do that right now in between games. But as we go into match number 4, we're switching over to Storm Point. What are you going to be looking to see? Obviously, we got Gollum, the bullies of the lobby, but what are we going to be looking? We still got Fat Kid Community with, unfortunately, 0 points. DRG looking good, quadruple A. What are we looking for heading into match 4 as we switch maps?
I mean, again, I haven't had the easiest opportunity here to watch Golem's games, but they tend to be as aggressive as we've seen them. Swapping over to Storm Point, I think, is oftentimes the map where aggressive edge fighting teams are able to soak up and really just steal away a lot of points on these lobbies. So what I'm looking for from Golem is potentially a nail in the coffin here in game number 4, if not games number 4 and 5, as we sort of start to wind down the opportunities for teams to earn points. And on the clear other end of the spectrum, I'm going to be looking at teams like Fat Kid Community, SCS, Convergent, teams that were actually either losing out on their contest on World's Edge time and time again, or were just not really finding their way into great spots to play out these games a little bit longer and rack up more points. So those are sort of the two elements that I'm looking for. And I think those are going to clash a little bit because certainly Golem is going to want to be preying on those teams that are getting to their rotates late so that they can clean them up before they even have an opportunity to play the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And with us switching to Storm Point, we are probably going to see a bit of a comp switch up, probably a little bit less, less caustics. So we're going to be able to see also what type of contests do we have. We've got some teams like Fat Kid Community on 0 points. Are they going to be contesting anybody, or are they going to just play the game and just kind of what I like to call play the mini games, hit your beacons? Hit your Evo Harvesters, hit your bins if you have them on your team, and just kind of playing the game and letting those kills come to you naturally. So we're going to see here as we game number 4 on Storm Point. Looks like we're going to have 2 teams fighting right off the bat. We're taking a look at last game's winner, DRG, who are going to be landing directly on somebody. Now, the good thing about this area is there's a lot of area to play. Should be able to get guns. So let's see how this plays out here, Mello.
Yeah, 202 with the early control of the center. Going to have plenty of loot to work with as well. But the team in front of him has decided to aggress early, putting out a scan, actually fully contesting that first smoke that is actually coming back to bite 202. But nice little bit of a trade here is going to even things up. They've sort of given up the center, though, and it is definitely a bit difficult to hold. Not a lot of safe cover to peek out, not a lot of great headies to contest the doors, but now they're sitting on the ramp and clearly in the back foot. Smoke into a scan combo. One of the last times y'all will get to see this in competitive play as we wait for this update. But 202 actually going to look for the swing around here. There's a bit of a sneaky play, but so far a stalemate of sorts has been achieved. And now it's just all about jockeying for position here. And both teams really want to get things going. So I think it's going to be a matter of who pulls the right trigger first, who is going to be the first one to wipe a player out of the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, 202 does have the advantage a bit, in my opinion, because they do have the lifeline, which put pressure even on Nox as the Bangalore takes a ton of damage and they go down. This fight just all of a sudden got out of control. The Bloodhound trying to get the scans. The problem we're seeing, the lifeline goes down. It is all up to the Bloodhound, and 202 is eliminated. DRG barely holds on, but they are able to continue their trek towards another victory. That just got out of hand so quickly.
Yeah, the game 3 winners showing up in a big way in that 3v3. And well, I think Lifeline can be a great boon for a 3v3 when it's such a tight margin. Everyone has so little health. It's likely that your lifeline is also going to get chopped up next, and that's exactly what happened right after that first knock. We saw that the lifeline was quick to fall shortly after. So unfortunate start for 202. They will have to come back from that, and that's actually unfortunately their second contest loss in a row as well. They lost their last contest in World's Edge, albeit because of a insane dog pile, but they're gonna have to come back a little bit more and try and make up a lot of points in games 5 and 6, excuse me.
And Bananas in Pajamas gets knocked, but unfortunately for them, they are able to get the bang right back up. And you know what? They're going to hightail it out of there because there are 3 teams in that area right outside. So we're going to see what they're going to be able to do and what's happening down below. Bananas in Pajamas says, you know what? We're going to live to fight another day. And this Bangalore is really struggling to get out of that area as they have to pop another med kit. So they've been knocked, using a lot of resources here as Team Listen with good damage early on, well on their way to purple, which is definitely a good thing. They need to get it going. They need to put this in the high gear if they're going to have a chance to win anything. And we're going to see is it looks like the fight has calmed down a little bit. Everyone's able to reset. The look with the Nemesis is maybe that Bloodhound was trying to scan the people scanner, as I like to call it, out in the open, which is just absolutely crazy, the disrespect that they show as we get a rotate in a huge fight here. And I know that's T. Oh, Skyler goes down.
Yeah, and that's like the one team member that you want to stay up for the longest part of the fight. Going down early is that no res available here, but the margins once again are very slim. There was a little bit of health recovered though before Bill swung in, and the bat coming through from Milosh is going to be enough, and Kaizen is going to take T-Pass down. And unfortunate start for them on Oral's Edge or on Storm Point, but great fight there. You'd love to see that turnaround, and that is going to be a lot of control over towards that side of the zone. There's again, a lot of open space, but if you can find some of those clever spots where you can pressure teams, pick up that Evo, you can really profit from it. But of course, 3 kills never going to feel too bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like we are getting a little bit of confirmation here that there are new rules. So the second place, it's not going to go to the second place team here. We'll get a little bit of clarification in between games. So this may be something that Gollum just needs to keep on trucking. We'll get further confirmation in between the next games. The Septic is in all kinds of trouble here. They're going to back up hard. The Bang Alt comes down. So we're going to see what Septic is able to do. Are they going to push this? Are they going to just back up completely? Now, the good thing is they are on. They can hold this team out just a little bit here and, you know, potentially pick up these kills with essentially no one around. So this would be 3 KP as the Hemlock sings. They're going to rotate out through the Prowler nest here and maybe just get a free rotation. But here come the Kardashians on the outside. Kylie, Kendall, and Kim with the lip filler, I'm assuming, deep inside. So we're going to see if they're able to push Septic right off of that spot. Septic doing a little bit of running here as Kim is going to pop ult, and we're going to see if they're able to push the team. I do not understand this rotation here, fellas.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a little over aggressive. They knew that Septic was fighting another team up towards the northern side, and that was not a full team wipe. So even if the Kardashians got a great fight here, that 3v3 could end up turning into a third-party opportunity for that northernmost team. But it looks like they weren't punished for it this time around. They are going to make their way out, having only burned that Bloodhound ultimate. So not too bad, but they are still not in zone either. So they have quite a ways to walk, quite a ways to move through, but at least they know that there are 2 teams far behind them over towards that northernmost edge on the map as they start to move. As we check in with Team Listen, a team that is in this next zone, but doesn't necessarily have the prettiest spot on the map. They are going to be able to get that res, and that is once again with the gold knockdown. We're seeing a lot of these, Irik, as these Newcastles are getting to reap the benefits of
Yeah.
that gold knockdown in a way that
Streamer loot.
no other character really can at the time. So they've got that member back up. They've got him healed up, and it looks like they're going to continue to pressure for this fight.
Yeah, I mean the Newcastles have been getting the gold knocks. That is no doubt streamer loot. Just want to take a moment to shout out this comp by Team Listen. We have a Vantage, we have an Ash, and we have a Newcastle. I don't really know what this is, but we are going to see as Kaizen. Bill goes down, Aura's in, Lynch. We haven't seen much of them. I don't think we've looked at them today. As Taxington is trying to climb up. He's got a Hemlock. He's got a Havoc as they're able to get the reset here. He's got somebody in his sights on the climb up. Catalyst probably should have thought twice about that. He is letting those bullets fly, and they're going to drop down and able to finish that out as Kaizen is eliminated.
The Mocad, they're way too aggressive on the climb up. And speaking of things we haven't seen a lot of this series so far, we actually have a Horizon for the squad there on your screens, which is, again, just not something we've been seeing all too much. Has fallen out of favor massively in World's Edge, but we're getting a sneak peek of just what it can do in the current meta on Stormpoint up against now the Kardashians, who are on the outside looking in, and this is starting to get a little bit tough. I think they're going to have to opt for something like an evac tower play, because once again, we know that there is at least one, if not two teams rotating on their edge, and there really isn't any more access points that those teams are going to be willing to fight for. Command center, a little bit risky. Not entirely sure what teams are there unless you have a scan. And so the Kardashians are, I think, possibly recognizing that they might be the ones to be on cleanup duty on that northern side. So they're actually moving towards the outside of zone to hunt for some kills and maybe a little bit more resources to make this rotate happen.
Yeah, and as we see Convergent moving out as well, this is where it's going to get very interesting. Is we have a lot of teams that are nowhere in zone, as SPS is letting the 30-30 sing here in the background, as you can see, as Rampart sets up. But we have a lot of teams that are outside of zone. Gollum creeping in. Looks like they might get into it here, probably with AAA. But a lot of teams are going to be running into a lot of teams. This is another situation where if you're already in zone, you're probably in an excellent spot. Kind of like if you know, you know. What we're going to see here is DRG is probably going to get shot coming around this corner, as there are so many teams. This is going to be extremely interesting to see who's able to rise up here. We have SPS, who has two people on white fields. Not ideal.
Yeah, far from ideal, but they do have those rampart walls to continue to boost their damage. So as more teams move in, it's going to be up to them to utilize the Sentinels and all of the long-range weapons that they have in their arsenal available to try and pick up a little bit more shield advantage. But their position, I mean, hard to argue against, especially as we get to take a peek at the next zone. All players will be receiving the bad news there. As you see on the top left of your screen, teams like Septic, Kardashians, SAS, and actually Septic has rotated past the Kardashians somehow, and actually might have a better position to hold against the team that was putting on the pressure just a couple of rings ago. And I think that is the 3v3 that is likely to break out here. The Kardashians have flown back in. Grenades being thrown. Septic on the defensive. Septic gonna eat some grenade damage here, but not too much quite yet. Triple purples to work with as well. They have the resources. This is where it's gonna come down to who the better team is in the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see Septic trying to hold down that spot. Atheon lets the Hemlock with the 3x scene. They do get a crack here. They're not pushing quite yet, but I'm gonna look for the fuse to call in some knuckle clusters and get some more damage there and pressure this team. They're not gonna full send it as they realize what is happening. They also need to take a look at zone, because as we know, zone 3 is the one that tickles a little bit, and they're gonna try to rotate out here as the Kardashians are in a load of trouble with Aura holding this team on the outside. They're gonna clean this up here. Another one down. They get the full kill. Just absolutely reaping the benefits. Being patient here. They've got multiple teams. They got multiple players from each team down. we're going to see Aura. All of a sudden, the tables are turned on them as Tacticton gets absolutely folded. Put in a ninja blender as somehow Aura goes down there. As SPS has walked up.
That is crazy. And yeah, just from the back, Fat Kid community. Hey, we finally see them, Irig. They're going to pick up some points here as the Kardashians running for their lives. All of the teams in command just falling apart right now. And it's going to be Fat Kid community. They didn't get enough points on World's Edge to really speak of. And now they're really turning things around, possibly the team to clear out this side of the map.
Yeah, they haven't seen a red shield so far today, and now that they're able to play the game a little bit, we're able to see what they're able to do. As Fat Kid community's gonna hold that fuse out, that nade might hurt, gonna smoke out. They are looking good as the Bloodhound goes down. They're gonna be able to get the res. Let's see what this Bang is able to do. Is they're just trying to move and just exist amongst these other teams, trying to mirror them. There's a Sky nade, knocks them into the zone. That's gonna hurt, but they have a lifeline. Do they have the gold knock? Yes, they do. And they're gonna get walked up on by GSC. Chico took a lot of damage right there. He is quite literally 1 HP. Oh my goodness, this is why they want the Havoc nerf. They go down. Fat Kid community, a little bit of mojo, but not enough, as GSC is going to have a hard trek to get into zone here.
Fat Kid trying to defend, Fat Kid community trying so hard, and it looks like they had an opportunity, but it looks like the pressure on what was a very open fight for GSC to be taken. I honestly expected them to fall to another team on their backside, but unfortunately the only team in the vicinity was the Kardashians, who is down to just Kim to try and make some magic happen in this first match on Stormpoint. But we're already going to see multiple triple red shielded up teams. We have a bunch of squads that are already just chilling up on the high ground, going to make it absolutely nightmarish to try and walk on in. But GSC manages to clutch it out. They are going to get a couple of goodies for their trouble, including at least 1 gold knockdown shield, but I'm sure they're expecting, or rather hoping, they don't have to use it, as we take a look at where we are going to be seeing our end game here. Remember, teams that we'd already called out before chilling comfortably here. Not the greatest shields, though, and we see at least one team that's double blues, if not 3.
Yeah, it looks like they've got 2 blues. We've got another one with the blue. This is going to be interesting because this zone is very, very weird. And if you're looking at that top right there of the zone, who's going to be able to hold that? There's not much to hold except for that building, as Conversion they're in a tough spot as they have to look down. And if they get knocked, someone is certainly going to push them, as they're saying, get in the car. As we switch over to SCS, and we're down to 11 squads, a lot of squads, as Bangalore gets absolutely rolled right there. That was an R9 making a comeback. A lot of movement, but is he going to be able to get out of zone? I don't think he is. He's going to go down here. They're going to go down. Quadruple A goes down as well. SPS is able to survive. The Bang will fall. And they're in a decent spot under this. They are in a pretty good spot right under this. SCS goes down, as well, as we're down to 9 teams. And they're probably going to reposition a little bit further under this structure.
And there's a couple of teams still left on the low ground, but not too many that are looking SPS's way. And the team that is up at the top does have some angles. SPS has to be a little bit careful here, but they have the Rampart to work with. The Sheila is going to come out as well to make themselves an even bigger 2-man threat. But DRG says, I don't care. You can put the machine gun away, because we've got a Havoc, no turbo necessary, triple reds for your Game 3 winners. And it looks like they're well poised to make it 4 as well.
And take a look here who's on the hype. The boogeyman. Gollum is still alive. I don't know if they're kicking. I'm not sure how many kills they have, but you have to be, like, when you see that Newcastle go down, you might want to go the other way. As Conversion is just, they're going to have to rotate here up those stairs. It's the only logical way. And Gollum is able to actually get up their 3rd member. So not only are they still alive, they're at full strength after a res. Convergent is just in a terrible position. I do not know if this Bengal is going to be enough to hold a team out as the zone is on their back. They cannot sit in it. They're just gonna zip line up and hope for the best. And they're able to get some.
There's one. There's two.
Are they able to finish this out? Here comes the Arc Star, sticks him. Let's see how this is going to play out. Convergent, I do not know how that happened, but they are not to be trifled with. He's going to pop a bat here. The bang goes down. And oh my goodness, so much damage. Convergence goes down. It's just too much as GSC is able to hold them out and wipe up those kills. Here comes Bananas and Pajamas. This is why you don't have triple blues. Aqua gets folded. Bananas and Pajamas, all that damage, no kills. It was down to 4 squads left.
Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow here. They're still down a member now. They've got a bit of a nook to play, so that's not too shabby. And they're in the top 4, so they've managed to scrap together some placement points. They're actually going to get a knock on to Golden, who was just over peaking that column. They actually follow up with a knock onto Sylvine. This might be one worth chasing for, as this will guarantee a top 3 and a number of kills. That is going to be the go button, but it isn't the immediate knock. It does take a couple moments, and the shield difference was just too much to surmount. And there we go. We're going to see us down to our final 2 squads. I got to say, Bananas and Pajamas got to be saying worth on that one, I would argue. But down to our final 6 members on the map. CC Police having a relatively quiet start to our 6-game series, now finding themselves in an end game, staring down across the way at the final team round. So
that was a zip. That was the strategy for sure. As CC Police is able to get the first knock on the Pathfinder. This looks like this is going to be CC Police's game to win. They've already knocked down one person. We've got Reclure Original and Robin right on top of them. So we're going to see how this is going to play out. They do have a Pathfinder. CC Police should be able to just take their time and do what they want here. This should be a victory. And it looks like they've got some KP as well, so this will be a pretty good victory for them. But you never know. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see if the team on top is able to, I guess, pull out a miracle as they drop down. And now, yeah, this is going to be elementary here, as that Pathfinder team is going to have to drop down at any given moment. You see the Havocs revved up. There it is, the smoke, the Bangalore takes a ton of damage. Get out of my face as the lifeline goes down. It is now a 1v1. Oh no, sorry. CC Police is your winner of game 4.
And wouldn't you know it, the team above them that seemingly threw away the opportunity for a back-to-back win was actually DRG. So they will not be taking down that second game, but top 2, not feeling too shabby, I'm sure. But that is a great game for CC Police to finally get on the board in a huge, huge way. And I think they certainly needed it to start to pick up a little bit more momentum and get back in this race to steal away this series from Golem, who didn't actually have the best game there, got taken out a little bit early by a huge convergent push. And that opens the door for CC Police to make up a lot of points.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, as you mentioned, that conversion, that there's no way that should have happened, but they were able to take down Golem and open up the lobby for somebody new. And we see CC Police with good positioning at the end, able to get the kill on the cross. So let's take a look at our standings and see who's doing what, and can somebody catch up? Just like that, DRG, just a couple of points behind, 7, right behind Golem. And CC Police, they are within striking distance at the moment. If these two teams can, you know, put another couple of good games together for our last 2 matches, they may just be able to unseat Golem.
Yeah, and unfortunately, DRG is just going to be really kicking themselves because those 7 points could have been won if they're able to win that final 3v3. They would have gotten 3 from the KP plus the 3 jumping from second to first, but that is not the case. That goes on over to CC Police, and now we've got a bit of a race, Irig. This has really opened things up a lot, specifically in the top 3. I must say that the gap between the next few teams and third is a little bit wide, but not completely insurmountable. Got 13 points between CC Police and the Last Hope, who could join the race here in this next game if they have a solid game. Same thing with Aura, actually tied up with Bananas in Pajamas here, and the margin from fourth to eighth is very, very, very slim. So a lot of teams still well in this, but Golem remains a threat. DRG now a bigger threat with the gap getting closed significantly, and CC Police joining that party as well.
And just want to shout out Fat Kid Community. They are on the board. Looks like they were headed to something good for a minute, but unfortunately, bad positioning took them out of there. So now we're just going to see, as you mentioned, the margin is very slim between fourth and, I mean, really 11th. I mean, all of those, that's just a couple of placement points and a kill, and you're right back in it. The question is, can Gollum hold the other two teams off? We'll see as we come back for game 5, and we'll be back. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Back to our Challenger Circuit EMEA Finals. And we're coming up on Game 5, again on Storm Point. Gollum is currently in the lead, but don't look now. We have DRG as well as CC Police right on their heels. Gollum with 56 points at the moment, DRG with 49. CC Police, a little bit of work to do, but they have 42. But as you know, one win with some kills can change all of that.
Yeah, and I gotta say, anyone who watched CC1 is probably not at all surprised to see this standing the way that it is at the top, because in CC number 1, we had Golem taking it down in first place, CC Police in second, and DRG in third. So it's looking all too similar, a bit of deja vu, and a lot of these squads are probably not too content with that. They want to be the team that is fighting for that number 1 position to guarantee their place in the LCQ. And just a reminder, we did mention it briefly the previous game, but we did get some clarification on the game rules. So as a reminder, if a team that has already won a challenger circuit takes another one down and wins it, are of course not getting a second qualification slot, but it'll add another slot for the overall CC points teams to fight for. That is to say that if we were going to get 6 teams qualified through CC points, we will end up getting 7. So an extra team will be added from the overall leaderboard that has not already won a challenger circuit themselves. So this is not feeling great, I'm sure, for some teams, but it does mean that it opens up the point race a little bit if Golem were to take it down. But I don't want to speak too soon because we still have 2 games left. And as we've mentioned, DRG and CC Police are hot on their heels.
Absolutely. And if I'm DRG, if I'm CC Police, I'm not really looking for any technicalities. I'm just going to win this outright and earn my spot in the LCQs in the fall. So we're going to see who is able to rise up here, who is able to, keep the momentum that they have going. I mean, you need Golem, for example, to be eliminated a little bit earlier, and just continue to build on what you've been building on throughout the day. As we look at our character select screen, want to shout out, some of these compositions. Again, we had an Ash sighting, a Vantage sighting. Didn't play out the best for him on Team Listen, but I mean, they're definitely trying something. Um, they're definitely trying something. No Bloodhound, no Bangalore, just an interesting comp. I mean, I would imagine with something like that, you have to get to zone just so quickly and just be able to utilize those uh, Vantage snipers. Well, I mean, we'll see how they're able to pan out for the rest of the game. As we're locked in on bananas and pajamas, we do have a couple of contests, so we'll get there and see who's able to take on and win that contest, and see who's able to continue to push forward and try to take out. We're on game 5 on Storm Point.
And first things first, we got to settle these contests. We saw 202 getting knocked out very early, their second contest loss in a row for this series. So they're going to have to try and really turn things around here, win out that 3v3, win it a little bit quickly as well, so they have an opportunity to get a solid rotate. But first thing we're actually going to check on is the contest over towards the wall, where we've got Aura involved in a contest of their own. We did see them a little bit later in the game, which does dictate that they did end up winning this one out the previous time. We'll see if they can do it here again, as Ozzy taking disguise, taking a little bit of extra position. But the early knock is actually going to come from a Mozambique from the side of Taxington, and already on the front foot, 1 member left for their opponents, and it's going to be all 3 cleaned up from Best Fighters.
Yeah, Best Fighters, I don't know why you just land flat out on the other team with all the extra space, but I mean, they paid paid for it. They're gonna finish in 20th there, and we got a little death box shooting from Taxington. I'm not sure whose box he was shooting, but he definitely unloaded the Mozambique into somebody's death box, saying, "Get away from us, get off of us, go find somewhere else to loot."
Now we're going to see our current lobby leaders in Golem. They've been taking up residence over towards the Thunderwatch. And they're doing everything they need to in pretty much all of these games, other than one pretty egregious defense. And that was, I think, off of the fact that they did end up getting a res beacon res right before that convergent push. So they were a little bit on the back foot, but you'd think with Newcastle Wall and, the fighting prowess that this team has already showed, could have cleaned that one up, didn't quite do it. So now it's time to run it back. Now it's time to really say, all right, y'all, if you really want this slot in your LCQ, you better come take it, because we are not done fighting.
Absolutely, and they're already on blues, have not fired a single bullet, just playing the mini games, playing Apex the way that it is supposed to be played, hitting the banners or the beacons as well as the bins. So we're gonna see who is able to unseat them at the moment. Everyone is up except for one team. We're gonna see, we got Call Me Data all the way in the bottom left and out in the ocean, hitting an Evo Harvester. As we take a look at the teams moving around. It looks like we got Bananas and Pajamas maybe on team listen here, and that is directly in zone as well, as you see where the next zone is going to be. Couple of teams already in, Ties and GSC. As we take a look here at another 3v3 here, and we'll see who's able to go. We have Absolute Chaos as team listen is rolling. You're getting rolled by Bananas and Pajamas. So we'll see if they're able to get out of there as the Newcastle is running for his life.
And I gotta say, I'm happy to see that Bananas and Pajamas doesn't just have a great name, they have a great team here. Really just probably outperforming expectations from a team that started off very slow on World's Edge. They're actually chasing down some of the teams that also haven't quite performed the way that they would like, and picking up a lot of those scrappy points that they're going to need to continue to fly up this leaderboard. I think there's a pretty solid chance they're out of the running for maybe taking out this win, but hey, who knows? We've seen some 20-point games. We've seen some close to 30-point games in these challenger circuits. So if they go nuclear here, they could still be in the conversation. Eyes on Aura right now, who are in the conversation for, I think, one of the better spots on the map. If you had a defensive character to work with, unfortunately, no Watson on that squad means that the spots that you're able to play are going to be a little bit more limited. I'd argue the hill that they're trying to play right now is probably not one of them. You're very susceptible to a full send. You're very susceptible to grenades. A lot of things can kill you away from that spot. So they're going to hold that spot. They have to do it very, very aggressively to prevent teams from stealing it.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see GSC, they're going to force the cat to reinforce the door a different way, but take the doors out. GSC just kind of looking. They have their eyes. I believe that's Aura over there in the corner. So they have to be very careful because, I mean, for sure, if they push and don't clean up quickly, the other team will be right in with the third party and probably the likely squad wipe there. As we see GSC, as you mentioned, this building is not necessarily a good one to hold. Just too many entrances with, I mean, pretty much no doors, but they do have it kind of reinforced with the Watson gen as well as the Watson fences. But they are in an excellent spot at the moment, so we just got to see how this plays out. As we see another team rotate out, he's looking for is he's trying to get the G7 shot.
Yeah, GSC poking at Aura squad up on that hill, and I think that with that next beacon scan, that zone seems to be quite favoring this side. In fact, it's a pretty good chance that it's going to end somewhere in this general vicinity. So while the building is a little bit awkward, Watson does have that sort of flexibility to play the weirder spots and hunker them down a little bit better than maybe something like a Caustic or certainly a Catalyst, who now has many fewer reinforcements to work with, both in her tactical and her passive. So GSC going to try and make the most of this spot. I reckon they have a pretty good opportunity to do so, but those Evos not looking great. And little by little, those resources are going to trickle down as well. They're going to need to use their Watson gens very intelligently to maintain as many cells and as many bats as possible, because there's a very high likelihood that the end game is going to be at their doorstep, and they're not going to have any opportunities to level up that loot other than what they have available to them, or what teams might be flying in on them that they're able to take out.
I mean, GSC, they do have a G7, so they are able to poke just a little bit. But no, you're 100% right. Maybe they get a little bit of loot from a team that they potentially kill. But, I mean, they're just going to be sitting here most likely until final zone here. So these three teams are going to probably just stay put, and what they have is what they have. You have to be very careful with resources, as the Kardashian is down to Kim again. Unlucky. Are they able to get the banner? Looks like she's going to try. She's only got 5 seconds. Not going to be able to get it just in time. As Kim is able to get the banner, and Convergent is trying to take a look at it. They are not going to drop down and potentially kill that. And I don't know if the Kardashians are going to be able to get that res. We're gonna see if it'll be a risky res for sure, as people will surely come right after and push the Kardashian.
Yeah, and Convergent opting to wait this one out. It looks like they're probably aware that the Kardashians are looking for this res, so they're gatekeeping one and staring down the other. But the other res beacon actually has yet another squad in the vicinity that's going to be T-passed down. They're just going to be walking on up. Got a little bit of smoke to cover themselves with, but they're going to be on ultimate low ground against the Convergence squad that we saw there a little bit ago. And the Kardashians just praying that this team goes away so that they can get an opportunity to get Kylie back up. But I mean, even if they did, I reckon it would be a pretty detrimental spot for them to res and an unlikely one for them to survive from.
Absolutely. I mean, we'll come back to the Kardashians here in a little bit and see if they're able to survive, and we'll check the kill feed as DRG is just outside of ring looking to get some early KP potentially. They are on triple purple. There's 18 squads left with a couple of people like the Kardashians short a couple of people. He does have the Sentinel, and we know what that thing can do. Even when it's not charged up, don't know how many cells you want to waste on that. And there goes a Devo. Definitely might want to pick that up. Just saying, as we check in on our other team that is just within shouting distance of Gollum, CC Police, who was also on triple purple as well.
And CC Police trying to police this edge a little bit, try to prevent some squads from walking in late. Our second place team being one of them. And that could be huge, actually. If CC Police is the team that takes out DRG, third place taken out second, they would be the ones that would be sort of skipping forward in that race and giving themselves an opportunity to be the ones to dethrone our current leaders in Golem. Of course, Golem's still on the map, a number of teams still on the map, and they're going to be fighting it out tooth and nail. Convergent fighting it out here to clean up this northern edge. They managed to find two, and it's going to be the full cleanup onto T-Pass. And I think this means that Kardashians were nope, they were not allowed to live, as immediately
Yeah,
it's like they invoked them into the kill feed. They will also fall, and we'll be down to 16.
We'll be down to 16 squads as we see Team Listen, who is going to be rotating. Again, this comp of Ash, Newcastle, and Vantage, I don't even think Tech would run such a thing as we go over and we see, I believe that is SPS. As we look here, a lot of damage going on, and there's going to be a team, maybe third party from the back of CC Police. They need to back up a little bit here as the Bloodhound goes down, looking for an angle, looking to survive here, but they're going to be able to potentially hide and let the two teams fight as DRG's walking up with the scan, with the bang ult coming up. Are they going to be able to chow this fully? We'll see as DRG's walking up, looking for an angle. It looks like that team is out of there and stunned by the bang ult, but they do have an angle on it. It's the Havoc things, 218. Yeah, the Havoc needs to be nerfed.
Oh, what an opening bit of damage here, but it looks like the knock wasn't traded back. And so DRG's aggression is going to be punished here massively. The Havoc doing over 200 damage, but no knock means that no man advantage, and they are going to be forced into the zone, try and rat things out, and wouldn't you know it, another team has joined the fray. CC Police, third place team in the standings currently. They will likely be the ones to play spoiler on our second place squad if they can wipe the squad out in front of them. But goodness, that squad has so much fight in them, Irig. No one can take them down. They're playing out in the open. No cover really left for them. It's going to be 2-0-2 that is trying to make magic happen right now. Beautiful shots from the wingman. Boosted loader in tow as well. And it is going to be enough. CC Police taken out. DRG likely taken out. I don't know if they're still waiting out in zone. That is some beautiful work by 202.
Yeah, that is huge. The fact that CC Police was able to go down there. I don't know if I like the decision of third party there with so many squads left. I mean, you can get your kills at the end game there, but you know what? They said we're gonna go for it. We need the KP, and they paid for it. I'm just trying to figure out how no one went down or was able to capitalize on that damage done by the Havoc. in that fight. I feel like he did 400 damage and no one went down. And but we'll see as Call Me Dada is going to be rotating into the zone. We got Horizon, Nine Bongo, and King getting in, avoiding shots from all different angles right in front of him as the Bloodhound goes down. They're probably going to finish them. They're going to rotate out. We're on King. Fuse is 1 HP. He's going to knuckle cluster to try to buy himself some space. But here comes the Last Hope in with an aggressive swing. Puts down the Watson pylon to prevent any type of nonsense from coming in. And they're going to wipe out Call Me Dada.
They're going to be able to pick up so much loot. I mean, look at how many boxes they have left to work with. And they are still putting on the pressure on this back corner here. Look at all the damage coming through. Probably going onto knock shields, but it doesn't really matter. Eventually, those teams will fall. Septic is going to be the next squad down. The Last Hope has a pretty comfortable corner that they can finagle with for a little bit longer. I believe GSC was one of the squads that we saw holding one of these zipline buildings. They were chilling there very, very early, and now they're likely going to be forced to move on out of here as this next zone starts to close on in on so many of these squads. Convergent, though, not where we expected to see them, holding the high ground for quite a while up over towards this checkpoint, now being decimated as SCS picks up a couple of nice kills, and it looks like they're not done.
It doesn't look like they're done. We're down to our final 10 squads. Not sure if Gollum is still up, and I don't know if we were able to confirm if DRG is still alive somewhere. The Last Hope just standing still, doing so much damage with the Havoc, but he wasn't moving. The Last Hope the Bangalore goes down. Are they going to try to get the res here? Indeed they are, and they're going to be able to kind of monitor the situation. They see that the res is happening. Big spray with the Prowler. Little Pekin just working angles here, Mello. Just going from side to side, not to front to back. Just doing what they can as they give the Bangalore time to re-heal. They do have to get out of this space. I do not know where they're going to go, but they did show that they're going to do an evac tower play here, potentially. In this, I cannot believe the Last Hope was able to survive that.
There's still a team up to the north. They get to scan out the team that is in the building right in front of them. Have they done enough damage to stave off the squad above them? It looks like they have forced the situation, I think, a touch too early, and now they're eating tons of damage. Meanwhile, the Last Hope is going to be able to walk on in. They're finally going to get an opening knock that is going to make the advantage from the pylon all but null, and they are going to be able to eliminate GSC. They're going to pick up all of this loot as 2 more squads fall. SCS and Aura will be joining them in the lobby.
We have 7 squads here as the Last Hope just picking up so much loot. They should be kitted for this final trek, for this final portion of this game. As they're walking in, I don't think there's anybody else in here as we are looking. This is going to be an interesting finish here. And as we see multiple squads just trying to stay alive, trying to hold rocks, poking, trying to get damage. They do have the Watson gen down. As you can see, it's in a pretty good spot to where you probably cannot shoot it. They have the zone to their back. As look at here, Bananas and Pajamas in our type 6, quietly creeping up the board. They've got some KP and they've got a Kraber. Let's see what he's going to do with it. It's Takeo TKI. He's got a Havoc. He's got a Kraber. A dangerous combination. Is they're going to just hold this low ground here with the Watson. And remember, they do have that Horizon to queue up on any unsuspecting people or take advantage of any knocks that they may get.
Yeah, and the combination there with the Fuse and the Horizon could be absolutely disgusting. If they put down that black hole, followed up with a knuckle cluster or 2, maybe a couple of arc stars that they've got in their arsenal. This could be big damage coming out of Bananas and Pajamas, and not to mention, as you've already said, a Kraber. So quietly sneaking into the top 6, but I think they're about to get loud here as they start to peek around. I think they walked right past the Rat as well. That's going to be Robin, the last member of DRG. DRG still in this race, actually, and I didn't even know this spot existed. They're going to be able to just hang out for a little bit and let the chaos flow around them. It's going to be one nice knock here for Bananas and Pajamas. They want to clean up this squad on the edge. Last Hope going to go down, and we're down to 5.
And here's Bananas and Pajamas. This is what I've been looking for him to do all day as he takes a billion bullets as he walks in. Well, that was not what I was looking for with Bananas and Pajamas. As they get obliterated. Is DRG still alive?
If they are, I think that's top 4, so they're still alive. But look who else is still alive on the map. And with the last bit of high ground left in this game, it's going to be Golem. 1 red shield to their name. High ground that they get to wait out. And hey, they even have the luxury of crafting even more ammo to do even more damage right now. Ireek, this is going to be a very difficult game to take away from them.
So, I mean, I think at this point the damage is done. As you can see, they already have KP. They're in top 4, so they're just increasing that lead that they already have here. As they are just letting the Nemi sing. They have height. They do have to probably drop down first of the other 2 teams. What's hilarious is just look at Ro. He's just chilling, just having a margarita, having a pina colada. Yeah. Good for him. He's been in there forever. What a rat spot. As you mentioned, I did not know that this spot even existed. Just chilling in the shade. I imagine that it's really hot on Storm Point. He doesn't even have to worry about that. And I don't even think with the way he's positioned, the scan is not picking him up. They're just thinking it's part of another team.
Yeah, and that's actually going to be
the res here.
That's going to be a scan from Golem, so maybe they're privy to that bit of knowledge there. They can count just in front of them, so at least they're suspicious, I'll say that much. But whether they can make anything happen off of that is a different story. It looks like someone else will be picking up Robin finally, and we're down to our final 9 players. 3 squads left. Golem, your lobby leader, sitting on triple reds right now. Beast of the Hunt gonna be popped. Damage gonna be flying from this Havoc, and this is why they won CC number 1, and this is why they are so well positioned to win it again. They've eliminated Quad A. They just have 1 team left in front of them.
And they are the bullies of the lobby. We've got them just chilling behind that Newcastle wall. Gets the crack, gets the L-Star. Oh my goodness, he goes down, but it does not matter because Golem is going to be your game 5 winner, and maybe, just maybe, with a win, and I'm not sure how many kills they got there, maybe, just maybe, that might have just eliminated anybody else from having a chance at breaking this out.
Yeah, that is a stellar look here from Golem. The first Challenger Circuit, they were only able to win 2. CC Police took 3. Could they be the ones to sort of clean that up and go for that 50% win rate? I said at the beginning of Stormpoint games, we're looking for that nail in the coffin. Ireek, is this it? Because CC Police was nowhere to be found, and DRG was there, but no real points to their name either.
As we take a look over at the standings, yeah, I think this might be it. An 18-point lead going into our final match. DRG realistically has a chance because they were able to eke out a lot of placement just by hiding in the bushes. I mean, honestly, if I'm DRG, I don't know if they know where Golem landed. You probably have to land on them and make sure they put up a donut here. But they're such a good 3v3 team. I don't think that's possible. I mean, we've pretty much only seen them. We haven't seen them really lose a lot of 3v3s except for match 1 back on World's Edge. But I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, it's very doable. We saw E8 drop 30 points, 18 kills. It's very doable, but I mean, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be a mission, especially because Golem doesn't want to give it up. Again, you might be completely right. I think maybe your best opportunity to take them down is in their home turf before they can get any real loot to speak of and become a danger to the entire lobby. So could we see DRG getting aggressive and taking that contest against Golem, or will Golem be felled before they can pick up enough points and have another team take over? We'll find out when we come back after a short break. Our final game on Stormpoint and our final game of the series. Don't go anywhere.
and we are back. We are back with our final game coming up on Storm Point, Game 6. And right now, Gollum they're just running the lobby right now, right? Like, if we take a look at the standings, we really only have 2 teams that can win this, possibly just one. But stranger things have happened. DRG, 18 points behind Gollum. Gollum sitting at 75 points. What are you going to do if you're DRG, Melo?
It's tough. For the sake of our viewing pleasure, I think it would be incredible if they opted to try and just straight up contest Golem, because realistically, I mean, you can hope to have a huge 30 banger game, but even that might not be enough if you leave them on in the lobby in any capacity. We saw them eliminated once on Storm Point so far off of a great push from Convergent. We haven't seen them taken out again because they won game number 5. So I think the odds are very much stacked against you if you just let them roam free. However, you also, of course, risk maybe a 50-50 on a POI you're not familiar with contesting. You risk just the entirety of your game to try and make that happen. And on top of that, you might be losing out on Challenger Circuit points if you end up giving up position to teams like CC Police and Bananas in Pajamas. So I think the margin for error is pretty high in that regard. I think you have quite a few points to give up. CC Police and Bananas do have quite a few points that they would need to put down in this game number 6. So maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's worth the gamble. I don't know. I don't know if I could be in their shoes making that decision right now, because it's a tough one.
I'm going for it. You heard it here first. Melo's being nice about it. DRG, push Golem. Land on them.
Let's see it.
You've got 57 points. You've had a great day. You know, you've accumulated a lot. If in case you don't win, you have one shot. Because like you said, even with 30 points, you know, you are not guaranteed anything, because Golem might exist alongside you. But let's see how this plays out as we load into our final match of the EMEA Challenger Circuit on Storm Point. Let's get into match 6.
And one thing we didn't mention, I don't think we ever see this, right? I think this is pretty unlikely, but what if Golem is ready to get called out? What if Golem actually, you know, calls the shot and says DRG is going to drop on top of us? Let's just mix up the POI for our last game. Because realistically, they don't have to do a lot, right? They can run at like maybe 1 or 2 teams, and they can widen that gap to a pretty unachievable degree. So I think that'd be the spice. If I am if I am Golem, maybe I'm making that mix happen, but they might also be incredibly confident in their 3v3 on their own POI. That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. So here we go, Eirik, our last look at the dropship for our Challenger Circuit Finals number 2 for the EMEA region. Match number 6. Luckily at it.
Let's get into it. Let's see who's going to contest, and we'll know pretty quickly if DRG heeded our advice. I don't know if that's a word, but we'll know fairly quickly, because we'll see one of them in the kill feed as we load into our final match. We do have some early contests. We know that at the wall. We're looking at Aura. They were able to dominate their last contest, and let's see if they've learned their lesson and they're not going to land on the same house. It looks like they're going to land somewhere else, which I think was the big mistake that they made. But Linkster says, I have a wingman. I don't need anything else, as he shoots the smoke 6 times, not able to get any early damage there. But Aura is being aggressive, not even giving their contests an opportunity to breathe here. And they're going to go straight to them. There's a queue up here, and they've got the high ground. Mozambique was what won it last time. So let's see how this contest plays out as a thermite goes out.
And that double nade stack could be exactly what they need to press the advantage here. 2 players completely out of position relative to their teammates. Already down to Flesh is the Revenant. They've got a crack. They've got a knock. That's going to be on a Nane. It is going to be traded out, but I think the health advantage is too great to surmount. Though right as I say that, a back-to-back trade as well means that NKZR is going to have to make something work here. The thirst is going to come through. That extra point going to be taken. Nice shot here. Finds 2, down to just 10 HP, and has to defend from the low ground. Mozam in tow, 48 Gonna find the crack as well. This Bloodhound has not cleaned this up the way that I would have expected. And it's going to be a back on up and a shield bat on up as well to make things a little bit more even. Scan gonna find them out. Disadvantage on the information for the time being. But it looks like they are unafraid and suddenly have a high ground to work with. Nice shots. 86 headshot, and they will clutch it up. Best fighters lose out once again from a massive clutch on the Bangalore.
I got your back.
Walking up on somebody who you just res with no HP and just a shield. What a play there by Linkter. Total confidence in their gameplay with just a wingman and a Mozambique. Hit those shots. That is a tough pill to swallow if you are best friends, as their day will be over. We had a great time watching them. They're going to be able to get the horizon back up and pretty much reset and honestly finish looting the POI. Is that didn't even happen. I believe 2 of the houses have not even been hit yet. And it does not look like DRG contested Golem, unless they're still fighting.
Yeah, I think it's a bit unlikely. We would probably expect to see at least something happening in the kill feed, but actually notably silent this time around. Aura being really the only team that seems to have been active at all. So they're going to win out their contest. They're going to have a little bit of extra time, as you said, to loot. And yeah, we're going to have a pretty passive start to the game in general, which, as we've already said multiple times, I think is about as bad as it could be for the lobby, for the top of the stack on the leaderboard, though. Ready to say it, Fat Kid Community has some other ideas. They want to get active, they want to get aggressive, and they're doing just that with some nice opening damage from the Foxy.
The Foxy, you know, I believe they're in last place, so they could just have a little bit of fun, maybe ruin a couple of people's day, which, you know, I love to see. More damage there with the Nemesis. It is coming at the moment with that 2x on there, able to get some good damage. As ATXM, big damage there with the flatline. Is going to have to get pushed back just a little bit because the Arc Star is going, but I think this Fat Kid Community is going to send this and maybe force Aura on the gravity cannon here. Let's see what they're going to do. They're going to back up. You know what they said? We're going to live to fight another day. We're going to chill out. We're going to chill out at the moment as we go over to right outside of Barometer.
And yeah, unfortunately, we did get a peek at the kill feed there where Bananas in Pajamas has been sent off the map for the last time in the series. So they will not be trying to leapfrog forward into a top 3 position. They will fall short. Very respectable series, in my opinion. They put up a lot of big numbers, and even though we were shouting them out for the name, they made it look great on screen with many clutch ups and some great performances. Shouldn't feel too bad about it. They're going to go home with some fantastic CC points that they're going to need, and pretty much everyone's going to need every point they can get because it's going to come down to the leaderboard if Golem has their way.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as 202 gets absolutely decimated, T-Bot's down. Been having a rough day, and it is going to continue here as the Bloodhound. He's down to about 76 HP there. They're going to move forward. He is going to be able to get off. He is going to be able to get off the med kit there. 202 able to get it back up to full strength. So let's see how this is going to play out. Is 202 going to send this? They realize that they were able to get somebody up as well. Big 82 damage there on the Bloodhound, playing the knockdown shield. This looks like it's going to be elementary here. They're going to pre-fire on that. Big damage as T-Pot's Down's day is over as we switch over to just outside of North Pad as we have 3 teams here. The Kardashians, Septic, as Kaizen goes down.
Yeah, a bit of a traffic jam that we're going to see on your screens right now. Septic holding a building right now, but it is not in zone. Team on the left, team on the right. Gonna pop that ultimate already to try and gain a little bit of information, fight their way on out of this one. They have decent loot to work with, and they still have that ultimate available from the fuse. The mother load here, not a great spot to use it, as that ceiling is very, very low. They need to make a choice here. They can't just dilly-dally here and wait for one of these teams to leave. It looks like they're the ones making the executive decision. They're going to pop down that evac tower, but it is going to be a bit of a bait, perhaps. The Kardashians were waiting to shoot it, and they're not going to be given that opportunity. So Kardashians up above in this building. I think the third team is probably already left, not being interested in taking zone damage for an extended fight. And it's going to come down to the Kardashians versus Septic. And it looks like I was wrong. Linkster is still waiting out in the wings with his squad. They're going to swing in now a little bit late. They're going to clean up the team inside. Can they get both?
Yeah, Septic is able to go down. Aura is just pushing into zone here. They've got the Havoc. We're going to see how they're able to swing this around. There we go. They're able to kill out everybody. And Aura is feeling themselves at the moment. They've went through 3 squads so far, really clutching it up after what should have been an early exit in this round. They're going to continue to push forward and head into zone.
And I mean, this could be the start of one of those 30-pointers, right? We didn't talk about them because they're not trying to take down Golem, but I think they were sitting on 37 points in 7th place before we started this match. So if they could have a big game here, they could be in the top 3 and make up a whole boatload of extra points. But still quite a few teams left standing in their way. 13 squads left, including the likes of Golem, CRG, and CC Police, as well as SPS right now, who might not be long for this world as they're getting pressure from all sides with no real cover left to play.
And Team Listen is walking up. They've had a bit of a rough day, but not at the moment, as the Havoc with the 2x4 is just mowing people, doing all types of damage. And there goes that Ash snare. I still can't get over them playing this comp, but I mean, it looks like they're having some success in this game. They've got some kills on the board. They're top 12 with a long trek into the next zone. They're going to look to maybe take out a team before they rotate here. So we'll see if Team Listen is able to go in. As he's got the longbow, is able to get a crack, make that 106 to the face with the 4x8 on there. Are they able to get that knock? Just plunking damage to get them close to the purple. He's 78, probably 2 bullets away, which is a good thing, as they'll be able to go into the next rotate with purple shields as we switch over to Barometer and we see 3 teams holding their respective spots.
Yeah, boatload of damage there. Not able to capitalize on it per se because it is so far away, but it was into zone. So I think instead of clearing out a team, just putting on the pressure, just saying, hey, you want to come this way, expect a whole lot more of that coming your direction. So we take a look at the map, we get to see just what our mid game is going to shape out to be. And I think I gotta say my eyes are firmly on the bottom right. We've got Golem coming into this lane a little bit late. They've already picked up 1 or 2 placement points off of really just existing and rotating while other teams duke it out. Aura being one of the terrors of the lobby this time around, wiping 2, contributing to maybe 3 team wipes right now. So Golem just kind of has to sit back, kick their feet up, and say, all right, peasants, fight it out, because we're already sitting atop the throne, looking out towards you all while you fight for scraps. And that's got to feel great coming into this final game.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we look at the map, Fat Kid Community is so far out of zone. Is Call Me Dada, who is also swapped to the Vantage, is able to use her bat to get out of the way. King is down. Not sure if they're going to be able to get him up without getting the pressure. He's going to try to get him behind this car, but there's all types of chaos coming down. Arc Stars, they're going to provide themselves a little bit of space here. And there they go. He's able to hide behind that knockdown shield no more, as the last hope. Well, that was their last hope. Their day is done.
Call Me Dada going to take over this spot. We can see there on the top left a preview of the next ring to come, and they're very comfortably sitting within it. So not the easiest spot to defend in a lot of cases, especially as this area starts to get a little bit more crowded, but they're going to be happy with that for now. I think that was going to be a rotate with the evac tower coming from Golem that just got broken wide open, broken apart. No rotate for you. CC Police, one of the teams that could play spoiler to the top of the leaderboard, still has quite a mountain to climb, and actually it might actually already be a mathematical impossibility because I see 0 kills on their side. So they're trying to go for that 30 bomb, Iric. They got to start putting in some work like right this moment.
Well, they can kill 27 people if Call Me Dada goes down. They can kill the rest of the lobby and win. That's 39 points. They really missed out on their spot, getting eliminated early last game as King V trying to hold on here. Believe the Ash is coming around the corner, but he's got a vault. Don't peek again, Ash. Don't do it. Let's see how this is going to play out. He's got 15 damage and a PK. Ash is just trying to get an angle, but he gets on top of him. Big crack there, but King V's getting helped out by other teams. As Call Me Dada is eliminated, getting helped out by other teams from height. It looks like Aura was able to come in and clean that up, and now they are looking for that Ash. They are trying to make a statement here. 3 shots out in the open.
Oh my God.
The Ash Taxington, 5 kills already. Make that 6 kills. Another one in his sights. And they're probably going to send on that as well. Going to pick up a little bit of ammo. Aura, I don't know where this team was the first 5 games, but they are not playing around at the moment.
Taxington, your kill leader in the lobby right now, sitting on 6. And it looks like they ain't stopping anytime soon right now. They got some high ground. Golem actually running into a little bit of trouble here, down 1 member. Not sure who picked up that kill, but it looks like they're not quite done with him yet. Vushi also almost getting cracked. Now they're just out in the open. They might be getting hung out to dry if they're not careful right now. Just hopping from cover to cover. They finally found a spot in this next zone, but they've lost their best defensive character to hold down the fort. And in fact, to set up any fort at all, they're just playing around this bridge and hoping no one looks their way.
Well, just keep in mind, you know, this is very unlikely at this point, but they do have the ability to craft banners if they need to. This Vushi, they're going to take fights anyways. They do not care. They're not just satisfied with just coasting their way to victory. They want to hurt people. As they said, listen to team, listen, your game is over. We will see you next Challenger Circuit, maybe, as they are going to continue to push this lobby. They're going to continue to just rotate into teams. And they said, we are the best 3v teams in this lobby. As DRG getting some damage. Big spray, nope. Missed with the Sentinel as they are looking to get angles. Lifeline goes down. They try to get the res. Let's see, is he able to get it off? No, Lifeline is somehow still alive as 202 finally goes down.
Now DRG gonna have some complications, as there was a little bit of help to clean up that squad over from the east. And they're going to have to find another way to rotate this one around. They've got both smokes available to make the rotate happen. Robin going to be the one to do it. Cut off the sight lines first. Great. But unfortunately, even more squads are looking their way. So they're going to utilize this first smoke as an opportunity to loot things up. Pop down that charged zip line. And they're going to be able to take at least some space up on this building. It looks like they were able to command the high ground, but they're not done moving. That spot is occupado. They want something a little bit better, and actually a little bit more in zone. In fact, no one was left there, but it is not left in zone. And they're going to get a corner to play here. Iriq, they still have some life in this game. The opportunity still available to them, but Golem's still alive.
Here comes the Fat Kid community looking directly down on them. They should be able to clean this up, as they do not have a lot of space to play with. Fat Kid community just looking to end on a positive note here. Sitting in 20th place. DRG is in horrible shape, as they're going to call down the mobile respawn, probably just for a little bit of cover. But here comes GSC also looking down with the Havoc and the triple take. Golden just looking down, just trying, but he took a lot of damage in the process. He's down to about 10 HP, and he has to slow heal. Oh my goodness, no bats whatsoever. GSC has to completely back off, and they're going to get pushed back even further with the knuckle clusters coming in. As we take a look, as Fat Kid community, they're able to use the Newcastle wall to hide behind. There are a lot of people looking down on this.
And I think I've seen Guts get knocked down like 11,000 times in the last minute. Between GSC and Fat Kid community, they are just not able to take down DRG. But finally, the collaboration comes through, and DRG is eliminated from this final game, which means I do believe that is all she wrote for any teams that are capable of taking down this challenger circuit. I think CC Police maybe is still in the area, maybe still in this top 6 contention, but they're going to be a long shot away from the points necessary. And in fact, I think the worst team that is still left alive for everyone in the lobby is Golem.
And I'm telling you right now, I'm rooting for Fat Kid community. They can let's kill everybody. There's
Ready.
14 people that's not theirs. Let's build some momentum, something to hold our heads on. They've got a Devo. Aura having an excellent game. As Taxington is on red, just looking for anybody, anything to shoot, anything moving. As the Bloodhound scan will probably come out here in just a moment. There it is. A great look, and they see another team they want to push. Oh my goodness, that was a heck of a spray. And they're going to drop down on this team. And let's see if they're able to finish it. Nope, they're going to hold this high ground. My goodness, is Aura just absolutely cooking right now. But let's see what they can do. Let's see what happens if they run up against Golem. I know Golem has 2 people, but I still want to see it. There's still something to play for. It's called pride.
Yeah, Aura really just turning it up an insane degree. I wish I would have seen this Aura all day today, and the leaderboard could have looked entirely different. I don't know what it took for Taxington and crew to say, you know what, let's just wipe half the lobby. That's an easy way to get our points together. Right now, they are looking down on the rest of this lobby. Golem, I think, in about as bad a shape as they could be for still being at this point in the game. GSC going to fall before them, however, and that is just point after point, though. Got to say, it didn't quite matter at this point in the series. They've done what they needed to. Can they do the impossible? Maybe is not the right word here, but can they put a bow on top with a 2v3 clutch on the final members of this game? I'll have to wait and see as this next zone starts to close.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't look now that they do have the banner in pocket. We might see a late game Newcastle res. I don't know if they're bold enough to just walk up that zip and try to push that team on height. But we're gonna see as our zone is closing. We have about a minute and a half. It's Aura. This is definitely their game to win. They're playing excellent, but ultimate height might be too much for everybody here. But maybe you drop down and potentially go under. I don't know what you do here as Aura's just getting knuckle clustered out. They're probably going to try to swing down here. Grenades come in. Just missed. Defuse all comes in. There's 5 teams here.
And that transition to that box, that bin, and they survive it. The grenades not finding their mark means that Aura now suddenly has a fantastic position. It looked like ultimate height was going to be able to wait them out, but this little walk forward might be exactly what they needed. Even with thermites and grenades flying their way, I think they might get the last laugh here. And yes, indeed, it's going to be about the same time, but they wait out just a second longer. Can they capitalize? Can they make this work? Nice ultimate here coming from the horizon. Is going to match it with the Arc Star, but does it find the right knocks? No, and they will fall, and wouldn't you know it? As we had mentioned just a few moments ago, Golem wasn't enough to just have the win by points. They wanted to put the bow on top and win the last game. They do exactly that, and this is why Golem are now your back-to-back winners of the Challenger Circuit for EMEA.
I don't know how they were able to just avoid being seen / shot at there, but what a day for Golem. What a performance they put on today.
Yeah, I mean, just a menace through and through. We kind of got maybe baited a little bit in our first game by them having a slow start. We said, oh, maybe Golem's not informed today. Maybe they didn't eat their Wheaties this morning, missing out on some of the juice that they had for that first Challenger Circuit. And wow, did they prove us wrong? They do, in fact, one up CC Police here from the previous Challenger Circuit and make it 3 wins on the day. Irie, that's just an incredibly impressive score line to have in a Challenger Circuit.
Absolutely, and of course we know Gollum did a great job. They were able to accumulate the most points today, but I do want to take a moment to shout out teams like Aura who really got it going in the last match. Teams like DRG with the rat play of the day, no doubt about it. CC Police, bananas in pajamas for the name. Like there was just a lot of good Apex today. So, GG's to everyone in the EMEA. Like, it was just a phenomenal day. Some great shots being hit, great rotations, just great overall gameplay.
And it is a bit of a formality, but to anyone who is not quite sure, let's go ahead and announce the winners of our Challenger Circuit #2 finals for EMEA. It's going to be Golem once again, just displaying a degree of dominance that I think has few times been seen in the Challenger circuits. Well, incredibly well-deserved win, incredibly well-deserved just play from this team. They were just in the right spots, winning the right fights time and time again. And I think no team was able to match their ability to close out games today. So congratulations once again to Golem. But got us a little bit got us started on congratulating some of the other teams in the lobby, Iric. So let's go ahead and take a look at that final leaderboard to see just how far ahead Golem was, almost joining the triple digit club with 93 points, not even close, as DRG do clean up that second place spot with 62 points and CC Police in third with 56.
Yeah, I mean, if you really look at the leaderboard, of course we got Gollum miles ahead. And then, I mean, 2 through 6, I mean, a couple things change and it could have been anybody's game. You want to carry those points over, but I mean, DRG, CC Police, Aura really turned it up to climb up that leaderboard. Like you said, they were in 7th coming into that last match, really able to turn it up. And don't look now, Fat Kid Community, after throwing up donuts for multiple games, climbed out the bottom with 12 points.
Let's
GG's to
go.
them for sure.
Yeah, showing up right at the end. That's sometimes what counts. Not getting last. They're definitely happy about that. But as we've already noted, a number of teams should be very proud of their performance. Even just getting here is a monumental achievement. The fact that they were toe to toe with some of our future PL contenders potentially, as well as maybe some that are on the fast track for that LCQ to try and make it to land. That is a very, very exciting thing to be proud of, I think, as a competitive Apex player, as an up and coming competitive Apex player. So, shout outs to all the teams for participating. Shout outs to all the players, all the teams for giving us some incredibly entertaining and competitive Apex Legends today.
Absolutely. This has been an amazing time. It was a pleasure calling this with you again. Congratulations to everybody who even made it this far. We're gonna see you guys again soon. I'm Irika of Awesome. Mellow Crit, do you want to say goodbye?
Sure thing. Yeah. I was just going to say thanks to everyone for joining us. It was a pleasure, Iric of Awesome. That was a great time. Great set of games. Thanks to everyone for joining. Don't forget, we still have NA in just, I'd say, a few hours. It's a little bit, but a little bit later today, we will have the NA Challenger Circuit Finals as well. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. Be ready. Get those snacks in and ready to roll, because that is also going to be a blast, I'm sure. But that's going to be it from us, and we will see you in just a few hours. Thanks for joining.
6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys soon.